Bill looks awfully confused reading that this morning.
I guess I just haven't paid enough attention. I don't really care to get into it. The Oregon women's basketball team.
Buzzer beater in the NCAA women's tournament, and an SEC team moves on. Apparently, the exact opposite thing is happening for Patrick's Washington football team than I thought you've been telling us about, Patrick. And J.C. Horn shines, as expected, at Carolina's Pro Day yesterday. Welcome in. Hope your Thursday morning is off to a good start. Bill, you're starting off confused this morning. What's going on over there?
No, okay. Well, if you want to get into it. No, I was reading the article on ESPN Sedona. Prince reflects on personal journey. Viral tweet as Oregon Ducks advance to Sweet 16. And so I was reading about their win last night, 57-50, but that was not the major headline for that. Is Prince, the emotions were raw in the postgame. Her thoughts bouncing between her own personal journey to her teammates to the attention brought on by her viral tweet, putting a spotlight on the inequalities between the men's and women's tournament.
Oh, so she kind of started the whole thing? Is that the way the story reads? We were talking about it yesterday. Don Staley was talking about it as well.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to read it, and it talks about how since her tweet that was retweeted nearly 200,000 times, it talks about that. It talks about how the San Antonio Spurs arrived at their home game a few miles down the road wearing throwback jerseys earlier this week of women's basketball legends like Rebecca Lobo, Cheryl Miller, and Becky Hammond. So I was just reading this article, and apparently I've not paid enough attention to what was going on. It's just, all right. So anyway, so that's not
you need more knowledge,
confusion.
Bill.
Not confusion, more of just, that's a really long article. But Oregon will take on number 2 seed Louisville on Sunday.
All right, you finish that up, Patrick. Maybe you can give us some more knowledge.
I didn't want to talk about it. That was not the way we really cared to start the show. But if you wanted to bring it up, I would bring it up.
When you make faces on the live stream, it's an indication that you might want to say something. It's like when we're sitting across from each other in the studio.
Oh no, Patrick's lacrosse sticks are down.
It's like when we're sitting across from each other at the studio, and an eyebrow raises or something like that, and it's.
I'm gonna make faces. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs open right now. One of them is for y'all for the live stream. One of them is for the text line, and one of them is for Twitter. I'm gonna make faces as I scroll through the internet. Not everyone needs to be brought up this morning.
Okay. Just know, if you're gonna react, we're gonna ask. You don't have to answer. You can just say, "Oh, just read an article. I got it. I'm good."
Keep your face to yourself.
This is why you should subscribe. Now is a good time to pitch the live stream. Now you get to see what's going on. Of course, I think more people have gotten entertained when callers call in and they see our faces during the live stream as we react. That one I can't control. That one also. So.
Steven and Chris up early with us on Facebook Live. We're rolling on YouTube Live, on Twitter as well. The station handle at 1075 The Game, where you can find the old video stream sponsored by Buford Lending. Patrick, I need more knowledge about this Washington football team situation. I thought you were telling us that the goal might have been to get Daniel Snyder out so somebody else can come in, buy the team, and basically purchase the nickname in the process. You can name your own team, kind of thing in the NFL. And now, as you scratch your head and talking about physical reactions, it looks like this might be making you ill that Daniel Snyder's going to be basically the only guy as the owner of the Redskins, or the former Redskins.
I don't know how much. I was just trying to think, because it's so complicated. There's so much that goes into it. I was trying to think how much I should leave out to just summarize it. Like, essentially,
Wait a second. You're doing that parent thing that I do with my kids? Like, all right. Well, where do I even start here?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, there's just so much. I mean, the thing that got settled yesterday was he's in lawsuits with his minority owners. Dwight Scharr is the main one. He's the CEO of FedEx. Dwight Scharr and Fred Smith are the two. And Fred Smith is the CEO of FedEx, like big wig. Arthur Smith, head coach of the Falcons, is his dad. They've been like suing Dan Snyder and tried to sell their shares, and Dan Snyder's been blocking the sale of their shares. There's been an investigation that we thought was going to come back with clear results that were going to be published for the public, and it turns out they're just like suing for redactions and all sorts of things. The legal team is fighting there, and essentially they just said he's going to get fined for it, but Dan Snyder didn't have enough liquid money to be able to buy the rest of the team, the 40% from the other owners. So the NFL basically raised the debt ceiling. You're allowed to finance a larger percent. He'd already been at the maximum limit that you could finance to buy and own the team. And the NFL just said, we're over all of this drama. We're over hearing about owners suing each other within the same organization. So just borrow as much money as you want. We're about to have a new TV deal. You're going to make more money than you can even count. So just go ahead, take the rest of your team. These lawsuits are over. Now sit down and shut up.
I can't wrap my head around the amount of money that's being mentioned here.
Well, it's not even what it's
What are you
worth
seeing,
either.
Bill? I'm seeing $450 million is what the finance committee in the NFL approved an application for Daniel Snyder for a waiver for $450 million debt. And then $875 million is the other number I'm seeing, the total amount of the deal for the remaining shares that Daniel Snyder has to pay.
He's getting out cheap because the $450 million that he's allowed to take out for debt. I mean, he's got to pay that back by, I think, 2028. March of 2028 was the date, I believe. That's going to be easy. Whenever he gets $300 million for, I think that's the number that I saw. Once the for the TV rights deal, he's just going to get $300 million. So he'll be able to pay it off. Yeah, just a check. He'll be able to pay it off easy. And the 884 was that the number you saw for the 875 for the two minority owners? That puts a valuation of $2.2 million on the franchise. And if the franchise were to sell on the open market, if Dan Snyder were to sell his 100% share, I mean, he's going to get upwards of $5 billion for it. So, I mean, that's half of what the team's actual valuation would be. So, in a way, he's actually getting off cheap by only having to pay $1 billion. And also, now that he's a 100% owner, he can just bring in new investors that he'll get along better with, and no one else has a say in who he brings on. So
when you say
he can bring in some just
when you say get along better with, you mean more yes men that will just do whatever he pleases?
Yeah, and I think that was Fred Smith and his relationship for a long time, but everyone that has been around Dan Snyder for a long period of time has seen that relationship falter, to say the least.
So those numbers are ridiculous. 450 million, 875 million, whatever it is. And then the billions you were talking about, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. I can much easier, a bit more easily understand 4.37. That's what J.C. Horn clocked in his 40-yard dash yesterday. 4.37, the official time. And then it was mic drop after that, right? There was no shuttle run or three-cone drill or going to run the 40 again to see what other time you get. That was it for J.C. Horn, and impressive numbers, no doubt. Is it about what you expected? Patrick, this is right in your wheelhouse. This is NFL Combine time. You are shaking your head as a big no, not what you expected. So better than you expected, I assume?
That was a monster day yesterday from J.C. Horn. He made himself a lot of money yesterday. Those are elite athletic testing numbers. I don't know if teams are going to, I don't know, when you take the pro day numbers, I think teams usually add a half a hundredth of a second or something like that. But no matter how you slice it, he was fast. He was explosive in the vertical over 40. It was a really, really strong performance. You couple that with the fact that Caleb Farley, who didn't play last year, is now getting back surgery, and no one's going to see him do anything before the draft. J.C. Horn is going to be at least the second corner off the board at this point, and has a very real opportunity to be the top corner taken and be a top 10 pick. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if J.C. Horn is pick 9 or 10 to Denver or Dallas right now. It was a really impressive day for him. He is, I think, I gotta pull up the list of GMs that were there, but I know like the Saints were there, and the Packers were there. Yeah, Saints GM, Dolphins GM, Broncos GM, Packers GM, Titans GM. The Saints and Packers probably just looked at each other and said, "Yeah, we don't have a chance at this kid," and just left because once those numbers came in, that was it. I was saying yesterday that they'd be really, really happy if he fell into the 20s and one of those teams could take him. It's not happening now.
Shi Smith, somebody weighing in on the live stream I'm seeing right now, asking what he ran in the 40. This is Craig. It was 4.43 is what I'm reading right now. So 0.06 of a second slower than J.C. Horn. Still really fast. 4.43 is what Shi Smith ran there. Patrick, I understand what you're saying, and I know that's the headline about J.C. Horn and his impressive day, but help me out. It's the 4.37 that earned him all the money? Is that what it was?
Because it was everything. It was over 11 on the broad, over 40 on the vertical, like just all like elite athletic testing numbers. Like he is,
because there was another guy who did those other two things for the Gamecocks yesterday, and I think I could give you 1,000 guesses, and without looking at it, I don't think you could come up with who it was.
I'd have to actually look.
Who ran the? What do you mean? Did those other things?
Did the broad jump and the vertical jump that Patrick was talking about, more than 11 feet in the broad jump and more than 40 inches in the vertical jump. And as I was looking at these numbers, this is why this time of year and the analysis that we get out of it drives me nuts because of the over-exaggeration, I think, of these things. It's great for J.C. Horn, don't get me wrong. It's on ESPN.com, the second headline of the college section about how impressive.
I'm trying to think of who this other person is because I didn't see this yesterday, and so I feel like it's going to be a guy who had an underwhelming career, and I feel like Sadarius Hutchinson would be the easy answer because athletically, I've heard he's just a freak down there, but I feel like you wouldn't be as shocked at him being able to post a huge broad jump and a vertical. So I feel like this is going to be a different guy.
I would be pretty shocked if Sadarius Hutchinson's vertical was over 40.
Yeah, it was not him. His big number yesterday was 36 in the bench press, right? And his vertical actually is really, really good. Do you remember our terrible verticals? I think mine was like 21. Sadarius Hutchinson weighs 320 pounds. His is 31.
That's what I'm saying. What was it? The Sports Illustrated article that he was one of the top 10 biggest athletic freaks of college football. Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of one of those things 40-inch vertical for a 300-pound man seems crazy, but it's something if you just said it, I'd be like, yeah, well, a lot of people think he's crazy. So, all right, who you got?
Ernest Jones was close to that, by the way, 38 for Ernest Jones at 6'1" and a half and 230 pounds. But no, there's another guy that had actually slightly better numbers in the broad jump and the vertical jump that went yesterday for the Gamecocks.
Did he play last year?
He did not play last year, but has played recently. I know.
The only one I knew that
Feaster?
was I was going to say
it wasn't Feaster who ran the exact same 40 as Shi Smith at 4.43. That was the impressive number for Feaster. Caleb Kinlaw also participating, but no.
Yeah, I was just looking because I just looked at the list and I was like, oh, why are these people working out?
I don't know who else hasn't played. I saw you guys saw the Shameik Blackshear temper tantrum on Twitter yesterday. Did you?
Did not see that. What happened there? Was there a pro day issue that he showed up and?
He said that something. I'll have to go back and let's do it for the sake of quality radio.
TCU pro day, right?
He did not go to the TCU pro day. Let me read you the exact tweet that he put out last night.
While you do that, Bill, there is an issue.
eBay, was it?
Yes, absolutely was.
What the heck?
Yeah, this is why this thing boggles my mind.
Well, this is why you also have to pair up the tape with the athletic profile. I could not believe that when I saw him on the list. I was like, pro day? Like for pro football?
And that's why. His vertical jump's 42, broad jump's 11.2, so an inch more than J.C. Horn. But the 40 time, which is very important for defensive backs, at 4.5. It's a lot slower than 4.37.
No, but that's a good athletic testing day.
Right.
That is
And
good
so that's
athletic
exactly
profile, but
why.
you also have to be good at football. So, like that's why
But
the J.C. Horn isn't jumping off draft boards because he's a good athlete. He's an elite football player. Like him and Patrick Surtain will be 1 and 2 now because of Caleb Farley's back injury more than anything. That's honestly probably the best thing that happened to those two guys because Caleb Farley is an absolute freak and he's going to be in the 4.2s. But, I mean, both of those, Surtain and J.C. Horn, tested much better than anyone expected. They're both big. They're physical. They played in the most elite conference and been against countless first-round wide receivers, NFL wide receivers. Like, every single week, they don't get away from it, and they always hold up well. They've got NFL bloodlines. Both their dads had long NFL careers. So, I mean, they kind of just check every single box that you'd want, and it'll be more of a scheme thing than anything now. Like, whatever team thinks that Horn or Surtain will fit their scheme better, I think they're gonna be lined up pretty well as like prospects.
Okay, Bill, you got to the Shameik Blackshear tweet that you were talking about?
This is from yesterday at 5:00, and he says it's crazy how they do you. Gamecock graduate and live in the state. At Gamecock football denied me a shot to work at Pro Day this year after being approved to work out last year. They preach all this positive stuff, but try to strip me of a job interview of a lifetime.
Got any other context for us around that, or you just saw that one on the social media?
That was making. I'm sure maybe today there will maybe be somebody who contacts him and wants an interview, or maybe some clarification. Again, given that it was late yesterday afternoon, what I say, the tweet is the tag on the time I believe is 5:04 p.m. So late yesterday afternoon. So I would imagine somebody will reach out to him today and go for some clarification on that one.
He last played at TCU. I don't understand.
No. Let me get you.
So you had Javon Charleston. Guys that didn't play last year but have played for the Gamecocks all working out. Tavian Feaster, Daniel Fennell, JT eBay, Caleb Kinlaw, Keel Pollard, and Eldridge Thompson on the list of former players prior to last year of guys working out. The guys from last year working out, besides the ones we've mentioned in J.C. Horn, Sedarius Hutcherson, Ernest Jones, Shai Smith, also Colin Hill, Israel Mukwamu, and Adam Prentice, trying to impress the scouts yesterday and get a look in the NFL. We'll continue to discuss that as we roll on this morning. We're just getting warmed up. Time for us to take our first break. 803-404-6100. If you would like to join the show, you can call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. It looks like Bill is ready to go. So how did they pass Farley? What kind of injury does he have?
It's back. It's a back. I don't know what it is, but it's back. And teams get really scared about back injuries. It's one of the worst things you can have from a
big Thursday morning. A lot going on, especially a lot going on in the housing market. That's why you need a guru to help you navigate what is going on. And I've got the guru for you, the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, with First Palmetto Bank. The housing market is hot. It's important to have a local lender and know what you can be approved for. And with Jacob, you can do just that. Give him a phone call today, 803-719-1005. Again, that phone number, 803-719-1005. You can also email him, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, at firstpalmetto.com is the way to get in touch with this. How about this? He's helping people save $200, $300, even $400 a month. And he's gone ahead and added Brian Kovar to his team to help even more homeowners and new home buyers. You're looking to refinance, you're looking to purchase a new home. Now is the time. Don't wait around. Give Jacob Crowder and his team a call, 803-719-1005. Again, that email, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, at firstpalmetto.com. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, with First Palmetto Bank.
How's the? So you never gave the review about going back to the cream and the coffee the other day. How was it?
Yeah, it's all right. I'll do it again this weekend. One cup a week, not too bad. I think I might have had a second cup. I can't remember, but
I joined a coffee club.
you joined the coffee club?
Not like you go and talk about coffee type of club, but they just send me a bag of coffee every month.
Okay.
That's every 3 weeks.
All
How about Jaden is into the hockey right now and college? What are you guys? You guys are kindred spirit.
Is Jordan a friend of yours, Patrick, or is it Jordan's a new name? Welcome in.
No,
Jordan.
but Jordan, where are you from? I think he might have texted about the Cavs before.
He might have done what?
I think he might have commented about the Cavs before.
All
They've been
right.
off for 2 days.
He's new.
And I'm pretty sure this is Anthony from Kershaw who hooked you up, sir.
Yeah, my guy. The board will be here soon. I'm gonna have to try and push this forward because it's gonna take up this whole wall right here. It's gonna be awesome.
So I don't think this happened. So Patrick had his Venmo up yesterday, and Anthony hooked him up to get his draft board. And you've already ordered it now?
Yeah, immediately.
Look at that. Look at the smile on that face. That is a happy guy.
This will be good.
Thursday morning.
It's gonna be good for the show. And
So
it's
when
too
is it
sad.
due?
I got one it'll flip over.
How about that?
So I can have a I don't know how I want to do it, offense and defense, or just like top 50 to 100.
Clearly, Anthony should be able to determine how you do it. If he's
First round mock, second round mock. I think
I'm
it changes every day.
I'm interested to know if Anthony needed to do the NFL Finance Committee waiver type thing to front you that money. You need to up the old credit card allowance there, the credit ceiling.
There's a lot of directions we can go with this thing. It'll be fun. Who's the PTI guy? Not PTI, around the horn guy. Woody Page. Has his little message back there.
Yep, that's gonna be you.
I'm not gonna just take his idea, but like we'll think of something along those lines.
All right. This is an actual. I'm not gonna say it on the live stream, but if you're on Twitter, the New York Post at NY Post, apparently somebody's having fun this morning with their Twitter account.
Oh boy.
I mean, isn't the New York Post a reputable?
No, they're known for being pretty salacious. Yeah, that's kind of the deal.
But it's not like The Onion.
Right.
I thought the New York Post was considered a. I mean, I have no reason to read New York newspapers, so I what's the newspaper from New York that should be read? What is it?
New York Times.
Is that it? Times? Okay.
Well, then, if you say that one, then anyone who's conservative all will say, no, not that one.
Well, they do the. I know that like the books go on the New York Times bestsellers list. So.
Right. It is called the newspaper of record, but I think that reputation has been under fire for a while now.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Washington Post. That's a big one.
Another one that is right there with the New York Times. I think after the last 4 years of the president ripping them every day.
They're owned by Bezos. I mostly know of them because they are always digging something up on Dan Snyder.
Man, worst text ever, by the way. And did you guys see that one? From Chris. Oh, this is Root Hog. Root Hog going over the line completely.
I had a summit class with Shamik last year. English.
What was that? English?
110, yeah.
All right, we're heading back in.
He didn't pay attention.
Ezra.
Going to announce some winners a little later on in the program. At Top Golf Live, a couple of tickets. Going to give those away a little later on today. We'll do it at the end of the show. 8:50, we'll announce the winners of a pair of tickets. I think we got 3 to announce, 3 pairs given away. You can tee it up at Williams-Brice. The Top Golf Live experience going to be there from April 8th to April 11th. April 10th, that Saturday, is when we're giving away the tickets, 6 p.m. Bill's already planning on being out there. We'll contact you and make sure that you get all hooked up with the Top Golf Live at Williams-Brice Stadium. Again, going to give away those tickets 8:50 today. You guys don't let me forget. The ESPN.com article. Speedy South Carolina cornerback J.C. Horn puts on impressive performance for NFL evaluators. Patrick, as we were talking about the numbers there, and I'm just a grizzled old man about all this stuff. 4.37 in the 40 is what really pops out, and that's the first number that they put out there beside measurables at 6'1", 205 pounds. But this was kind of an opposite. Well, I guess J.C. Horn is just in a different position than others. A different position than, let's go with Shi Smith, who was running yesterday. Because Shi Smith, I would say, had a better final season at South Carolina than J.C. Horn did. Is that fair to say? I know it's really weird to compare the two, and Bill, you're giving me a weird look.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
He had a more visual season because with wide receiver, you see it happen with defensive back. I mean,
why I put it this way, Bill, is that the conversation around Shi Smith going into a senior season is, can we consider him a number 1 receiver in the SEC, right? Mm-hmm. Or for the Gamecocks? And we hadn't been able to until his senior year, and then we clearly were able to last year. He stepped up when all the offensive attention was kind of on him from the wide receiver position. So that's why I'm saying there. And he did it consistently, pretty consistently, for an offense that just struggled. Whereas J.C. Horn, the conversation that we were having about him is he ever going to get an interception? And clearly he did that and then some in the Auburn game. But from a highlight perspective, or kind of from our fan perspective, you didn't see much more out of him besides that. Now, you go back and you look at the tape, and I get it. Really, really good. But from the NFL pro prospect position, J.C. Horn obviously much more well thought of than Shi Smith. You were going through your wide receiver list, and you have Shi Smith somewhere in the 12 to 20 range, right, Patrick? As opposed to J.C. Horn, who was largely considered, I think, going into yesterday, number 3 cornerback behind Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain. So my point is that J.C. Horn goes into pro day saying, hey, man, you're in great shape. Don't screw it up. Shi Smith goes in and says, man, you got some work to do. You need to do some things that will help you get into a different conversation or go up some draft boards. And so my question to you, Patrick, being the guy who really pays attention to this stuff, is 0.06 of a second really worth that much when you're a corner and a wide receiver? 4.43 is what Shi Smith runs yesterday. 4.37 is what J.C. Horn runs.
No, if J.C. Horn ran a 4.43 yesterday, we'd be talking the same way, and he would be in very good shape. You're really looking for shocking numbers in either direction, and anything sub 4.4 is shocking. Like, that guy has got real juice that you might not have expected. And then if J.C. was above, I think every team has a different number that they kind of consider their baseline for NFL type speed. Because, I mean, there are times where you really do need to know, like, if you get beat on a first move or a double move or something, can you recover? Like, that is just very important. And if you're above a 4.55, 4.6 type deal, that's bad for teams. Like, that will really knock you down. So I think J.C. Horn knew that he knew he runs every single day. He knew he was going to be at a 4.4 or something like that. I don't know if he knew he would get under 4.4, but he got a good time, a fast track, things like that. So it's not going to make a big difference. Both those guys ran really good times. Shi Smith probably would just, if he really wanted to improve his stock, would have had to do something crazy, like what Rondale Moore, I don't know if you guys know, Rondale Moore over at Purdue ran a 4.29, and was under 4.3 for both of his runs, and then had like a 43.5-inch vert. It was just silly what he did.
Well, he ran less than 4.3 and then ran again.
Well,
So
you
you're
do
done?
two. I think most of the guys do 2 times. I don't
Right.
know. There was
But you don't have to.
you
You can
don't
run
have to.
once. I think that's what J.C. Horn did yesterday. He ran one
Yeah, I saw
time
that.
and
That was-
said, "I'm good."
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. I saw a bunch of people say
which tells you that he probably ran a little bit faster than he was expecting to, or felt just really good about the first one. And because that's another thing. A lot of guys just don't work out. If you watch I watched the Alabama Pro Day, and I mean Devontae Smith just didn't do anything. Didn't even step on the scale. He just told everybody he was 170 pounds and didn't do a single workout. And Najee Harris didn't do a single workout. The headline was that he drove from Dallas because his flight got canceled.
Right, 9 hours.
Yeah.
Like
9
through
hours,
the
so-
night just to get there.
Yeah, and he didn't not even work out. So yeah, I mean, guys, at this point, I think we're going to see more guys not working out. But if it actually will help you, if you're number one or if you're Devontae Smith and there's nothing you can do athletically that's really going to boost your stock, then don't do it. JC knew he was going to test off the charts, so for his case, it worked out.
Moore measured 5'7", Craig says. Rondale Moore over at Purdue and was listed at 5'9". It's classic.
Yeah, that was actually, people were really concerned about that because there's nobody really doing it right now that's 5'7". And there was misinformation spread that he was a 5'7", but he's actually a 5'7", 5 feet 7 inches and 7/10 of an inch.
Patrick is all over. Bill, you're with me on this, right?
I'm with you too on a lot of it.
The level of scrutiny that goes into these numbers is like the Joe Burrow hand size thing. And we all did that one morning. We all measured our hands, and that was the thing. Oh, Joe Burrow's got small hands, and he even made fun of it as well. It can be so ridiculous because
But there are
there's such
certain
a
measurements that matter.
But they
You do not
don't.
want an offensive tackle. If a guy
The
comes
short
in, Elijah Vera Tucker is a big time offensive lineman from Southern Cal right now. He measured in at 32.5-inch arms, and people thought that he will probably end up having to play guard. And they've decided, most teams probably have decided that because of his arm length, he's just not going to be able. If a defensive end just tries to long arm into a bull rush or something like that, he's not going to be able to lock him up. He's probably going to end up playing guard. Like, arm length for an offensive tackle is very important. Hand size for a wide receiver, not that important as long as he can catch the football.
That's my response as well, Bill.
I
don't
agree with
disagree.
you in a lot of this stuff, but there are certain things that are important. And there are baselines that you have to hit.
I feel like this is the moment now we go to our true draft expert. Where is she, Jen? Jen, are you around? Is Jen gone? There's Jen. Jen, you being the true expert, how do you feel about Mitchell Trubisky at number 2 over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson? But just in case you were in a bad mood already, I'm winning NASCAR. So,
Well, they also traded up from number 3 to 2 to go get him.
My mom always said, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
And you just spoke. So.
When did you start following that rule?
It's also true.
FCC violations.
There's our true draft expert, Jen Jensen, weighing in this morning. When Mitchell, what Patrick, out of curiosity, what was it Trubisky did 4 years ago that vaulted him ahead of Mahomes and what? Any idea? Was it?
Well, no, Ryan Pace, the GM for the Bears, didn't even have a visit with Deshaun Watson.
Well, it's
Right.
not a
That's
good
That's
what
what
it was.
blew everybody's mind. They're like, what? You're not even going to talk to the
He
guy?
is so clueless.
Yeah.
And he continues to show that.
Wait, Jen, do you remember what you just said 7 seconds ago?
I was able to bite my tongue a little bit.
So you meant if you can only say something,
I think she meant.
if you can't not cuss, then don't say anything.
I think she meant the coworkers. Coworkers is what she meant, not.
I think there is a waiver actually in that your mom knew. If a guy is making 7 figures and running the Chicago Bears, then
Exactly. Well, and also then I remember it's like I'm the one that does have access to the dump buttons.
That's true.
Away, so I can take care of myself.
and no way you can blame on anybody else either.
It's true.
So your point, Bill, about Mitch Trubisky, I think it's kind of where I'm at. This is a yearly exercise, and I know we didn't get it this year like we've gotten in years past with the combine, like usual. And last year was all kind of messed up because of COVID. But every time before the NFL draft, I feel like organizations have to wrestle with their pride and how smart they think everybody is in the room, which is how they all got their jobs, right? And how they think they're going to separate themselves from the next organization with common sense. And I feel like there are a lot of organizations who struggle mightily with this, because we can all sit here and say, hey man, J.C. Horn was a really good football player. He didn't have to run. If he ran 4.7 yesterday, I was still going to tell you that he's a dang good football player. And what he ran in his underwear in a straight line in an indoor facility in March for 40 yards has very little to do with what's going to happen on a football field. And then on the other side, you got a guy like Josh Allen, who played at Wyoming, or a Carson Wentz to a lesser degree these days, who played at a lower division. And these guys work out really well, and they impress scouts, and they get drafted highly. And guess what? Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL now. Like, they got it right.
Because you got to think about, when you're talking about the athletic numbers, you got to think about who's out there watching too. It's not just GMs, it's coaches. And like, if you have a 275-pound edge rusher, maybe he wasn't incredibly productive in college, but if you see him jump out of the gym and he's really fast and does all these things, then all these position coaches have egos too. So there's definitely a defensive coordinator, a defensive line coach saying, those coaches, like Kwity Paye at Michigan, or Jason Oweh from Penn State is a good example. He's an edge rusher that's going to run in the 4.4s at over 250 pounds, and people are going to be jaw dropped, and they're going to look and say, he got 0 sacks this year. So how can we're not going to take a guy that had 0 sacks, but a defensive end coach is going to say, they didn't know what they were doing at Penn State. I'm going to get my hands on him, and I will build him into an absolute freak.
Don't you think that there are some people out there, even, and I know people are going to just gag when I say this, but Will Muschamp does have respect in the coaching community. He's been around and coached for a bunch of people, and I was trying to go back and find, I think it was a text that somebody said, I don't understand, how do we have such freaky type athletic players, but we were very bad. We'll change some wording of that text message that came in earlier. We were very bad, and that's kind of to your point, right, Patrick? Like, there's people who are going to look at players off of. I think South Carolina had more talent than 6 wins over 2 years. I mean, what are we talking about right now? 12 guys? Is that right? 6 guys drafted last year? Is that right?
6 guys, I think, that were on opening day rosters last year, which is much more important than who was drafted, right?
Yeah, 6 guys off of the 4 and 18. Then there's obviously more guys that were on opening day rosters, but 6 guys off of 4 and 18. And you're going to have what? Horn, McQuambu,
3 and 5 this year.
Off of a 2 and 8 team. So a team that went 4 and 8, you're going to end up with 11 guys in that ballpark, 12 guys that'll be on opening day rosters. Like,
you said between 3 and 5, Patrick. So you're going Horn number 1. What do you think? Hutcherson number 2 or Shi Smith number 2?
Yeah,
Shi Smith and Hutcherson are kind of the 3 givens, you would guess, and then Ernest Jones, McQuambu, probably the other guys trying to fight in there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Adam Prentice find a spot on a roster there, a guy working out yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't help that McQuambu didn't run. I don't know what led up to that. It said a hamstring injury, but that happened during the day? Did he know? A lot of guys know they're not going to run fast, and they say, I actually got a lingering issue. I'm not going to run. So, I don't know. The best thing McQuambu did was actually measure it at 6'4" yesterday, because I was thinking that a lot of people, you see it all the time in college rosters that say he's 6'5", 275, then he weighs in a pro day and he's like 6'3" and a half, and he's 260 pounds. So McQuambu actually being a legit 6'4" was probably good for him.
6'4" and 1/8 inch, 212 pounds, where Israel McQuambu weighed in, and
12 too.
That's interesting. The arm length, though, just an inch longer than J.C. Horn, who stands at 6 foot.
Well, J.C. Horn is another one of those guys, though, Patrick, you would agree. I know we're kind of cutting up about physical attributes, but like if you draw up a defensive back and you talk about the speed, the size, like everything that you would create on a video game to make you the perfect defensive back, that is J.C. Horn. That's what they talked about him coming out when he was a recruit, is how he was the closest thing South Carolina had landed to Stephon Gilmore, just in terms of physical abilities. How it translated on the field at that time remained to be seen. But when he signed,
that's what you're going to find in the first round, is guys that are basically built in the lab, like elite traits, elite film, and everything like that. there's a lot of college football players, and only 32 get taken in the first round. It's the guys that match up both the athletic profile and the tape.
So certainly a solid day for J.C. Horn yesterday. I want to get into what you think it might mean for the program or some of those other discussions that we're talking about, kind of production in college versus potential, and then what you see kind of at the next level. We'll continue to do that as we roll on this morning. Patrick's pumped up. He's talking NFL draft. Bills
without the whiteboard yet.
Little grizzled. Oh, yeah. And the whiteboard's on the way. Anthony for Kershaw, well done, who just hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, by the way, and said, Jen is going to kill Bill. That was for the Trubisky shot. Unnecessary, Jen. I apologize.
I wouldn't do that. I might,
I mean, look, it all worked out. Now you got Andy Dalton. You feel good today, right?
Man, it is just a great day for Bears.
I mean, they posted a picture of him on Twitter yesterday with the tag QB1.
QB1,
and they just got eviscerated in the comments.
Well,
like, they knew what they were getting into. Why?
That's some 19-year-old who just is in the.
I guarantee they knew what was coming.
Like, oh, I think this is a good idea today.
You gotta be a dope to not realize what the reception was gonna be for that tweet. Just.
I guess not.
It got clicks though. If clicks is all that matters.
Yeah.
I like saying J.C. Horn called out Chris Sims for clickbait in his cornerback rankings as well. You guys see that?
Nice. All right, so maybe that's what we'll do this morning. We'll come up with the most clicky tweet that we can put out on the 107.5 The Game station handle. See what we can do. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and new.
Oh, talking about putting out some clickbait type stuff on the old Twitter handle. Not at all what Love Chevy does. Nope. They can back up what they put out there, and that is being the largest selection of Chevrolets anywhere in the middle. 14 acres of brand new Chevys. You can actually go just check that out for yourself. Walk around the lot if you're looking for a brand new Chevrolet vehicle. Now is the time, because they not only back up their guarantee of the largest selection, they back it up with the best price guarantee. That's right. It's called the low price, the $1,000 low price guarantee, where you can go shop other dealerships, take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevy, and if they don't top it, they'll write you a check for $1,000. Again, that's truth. It's factual. You can go find out for yourself by just going to visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. And on top of all that, they've gotten even bigger this year. That's right. 2021 is off to a bang at Love Chevrolet. Why? Because they added the incredible pre-owned lot from Love Automotive on Knox Abbott Drive in Casey. So whether it's new or pre-owned, the folks at Love Chevrolet have got you taken care of. Go visit them again out there in Harbison, I-26 between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
What would be the best / dumbest, most clickable tweet that we could put out? I'm trying to think about it.
How long have we had Preston Thorne doing the noon show? How long is this now?
Like 2 weeks?
Game 107.5, the game hires former Gamecock great defensive lineman to do noon show or something. Or it's got to be something like that.
How about Gamecock great elevates noon show to new heights immediately? Something like that.
That's something. I think that's.
What would be the comparison to QB1 and Andy Dalton? What can we do there?
Yeah, I was thinking something like J.C. Horn's testing numbers prove once again like the gap between South Carolina and Clemson is growing in terms of NFL talent.
That's pretty good. I was thinking about putting a picture of Dave up. Just put radio producer #1, something like that. I don't think that's quite the same thing.
RP #1.
The what?
RP #1.
There you go.
Board up 1.
Or traffic updater #1. Nobody in the business does it better.
I
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else. I mean, I like Patrick's. Yeah, that's true clickbait, home of the Gamecock type stuff.
When Clemson will have the number one overall pick and like the most generational quarterback in decades.
But then you throw up a picture of George Rogers, still no Heisman Trophy winners.
Will Trevor Lawrence be the first number one pick from Clemson?
Allegedly, Patrick.
Probably, right? South Carolina's that number one pick already.
2.
Yep.
There you go. Work around that.
I'd say you just say South Carolina reasserts itself as DBU.
Clowney visited with the Browns yesterday too.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they just like count their money in front of him from what they would have offered him a while back?
Yeah. Just took a zero off.
A big stack of cash over here. It said 2020. A smaller stack over here.
You say that,
2020.
all right. You remember that tweet that came in that you were a little grizzled about, or that you were going to respond to yesterday from on Gamecock Larry? Remember the guy who sent it?
Uh-huh.
All right. I went to prom. I didn't go to prom with him. He was in the group that we went to prom with. So he had been drinking before we got there. So he got down there, and he had 1s and 5s. I think he had about $40, and he set them on the table. When the waitress came, he said, "All right, that's your tip right there."
Yeah.
As the night goes along, if you do well, we add to your tip. If you do poorly, it comes out of your tip. So that tells you.
That is the worst move.
Yep.
Wow.
Sure.
You got to remember, he was 17, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
I've heard that people do they'll put a $1 bill if they get their drink filled up, and they're like, "I'll keep adding to it, however many times you do that."
And
I got to say, if you're over 17 and you're doing that, you probably need to be taken out back.
Yeah. By the way,
So demeaning.
Craig, your boys stopped by the house yesterday. Crowder and Kovar were here. Crowder was cutting the commercial. Kovar was here for all of about 42 seconds before Crowder had to leave.
Wow, big day.
Big day.
Chris, aren't we all closet Browns fans to a certain degree?
All of us.
I know
Patrick and I were openly Browns fans for 2 years.
you guys are bandwagon Browns fans.
Everybody's closet Browns and Bills fans.
Yeah, how can you really hate them unless you're like a Steelers guy, which then you're just annoying because you win way too much.
True.
Even I mean the Browns used to be the Steelers Browns used to be one of the best rivalries in football, and now nobody will consider
all right,
the
I'm
Browns
back
and
in. Got
Steelers
a
rivalry.
little over a
Steelers
minute.
rivalry.
A little over a minute. I feel like we have to repeat what Jen says sometimes when she says we're going back in, so she knows we hear us, so she doesn't like flip out.
Me?
Good morning, everyone. Beat Florida, Spurs up, TJ says on the Facebook live stream. Yeah, we do have Gamecock baseball to discuss. Interesting move by Mark Kingston yesterday, announcing his starting rotation. Same on Friday and Saturday that it's been. Thomas Farr on Friday, Brandon Jordan on Saturday. It's the Sunday TBA move to be announced. That was an interesting one where you might see Julian Bosnick, the Sunday starter, on Friday or Saturday now. Brett Carey might move into the starting rotation, the closer. It'll depend on how things go. A little bit more flexibility is the explanation for why the Gamecocks are making that move. Bill, where are you with the Florida series now, with the importance for Gamecock baseball after starting 1 and 2 in SEC play?
Yes, well, I even lump. I know Texas isn't a conference series, but I lump it in there. And you've got to win the series at home. You got to take 2 or 3.
We'll continue to discuss as we roll on, as well as Patrick will break down wingspan, arm length, vertical jump, broad jump, the whole thing. He's pumped. You got to get you that whiteboard. When's it coming?
We don't have a shipping date yet. So it's been processed. No shipping date yet.
Did you go through Amazon?
Yeah.
Rookie move. Didn't have the volume up? You didn't think I was going to you?
I had to put him. Thought I did. I heard myself.
You really could have gone to pretty much any craft store, though, couldn't have you?
Did you not hear me answer? I said we didn't have we don't have a shipping date yet.
No, I heard you. I just saw a little panic before you answered.
Well, I was actually thinking about checking, but I'm not gotten now.
Ah, see, that's what that was.
Oh, man. Speaking of clickbait, I mean, I always want to read. I get like the state daily newsletter or whatever, and I just can't read any of the articles, but I always want to.
So they're good at it, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, then when you get to the page where it tells you how much, like,
Yesterday I got somebody's trying to block beer sales in Williams-Brice, and I was like, what? Why are they doing that? But I couldn't read the article, so I don't know anything about it.
because the thing is, you're paying for the whole paper, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. Like, I'm probably going to read your headline, because you give me a headline.
Jen, you saw when you got to cut a sleep number? Josh sent me a sleep number. We can cut it whenever.
Can we really? That'd be awesome. I'd love that.
I'll do it in one take. I'll do it live.
Easy, O'Reilly.
Have you ever heard him play the segment on Levitard where I think it's an old one, but where Stu Gotts freaked out on the producer or whoever freaked out on the people because they messed up one of his spots and he just started yelling at him off air, but he didn't know his mic was off, so they captured it.
That would end pretty quickly here. It would be like, see y'all.
Okay, well, tomorrow, Patrick, you need to come in. That's what you would say. Just
Jim, we are gonna. I'll text Pearson. We are gonna have you and I gonna have to do some editing on that Crowder spot the way we did it. So
Okay.
prepare accordingly. That'll probably end up being tomorrow morning once we can locate where he saved it.
Okay.
I'm looking up Brett Carey's stuff here to see if he has. I think he started a few times. Looking up the specific stats here. Let's go to stats.
Or you just wanted to do the Friday, Monday one
Yeah.
today? Okay. Then Monday we can do the Tuesday.
Career stats. Games started. 4 of them. 2 last year, 2 in 2019 as a freshman. Here we go. I hope that helps. Who was asking about that? That was Chris. Yeah, I think Price ended up starting, a handful of games there his senior year until they moved him back.
Yeah, it wasn't going. But I mean, Matt
It's
Price.
really simple. Baseball's a simple game. You want your best pitcher to pitch the most important outs.
You know, I don't want to go down this path, not today, but with Matt Price, like, I guess maybe an interesting conversation would be the athlete who had the best college career, who you were sure was going to have a professional career, just had none. I'm not talking about was a bust, but like there was like Matt Price was a guy that I thought, you think about all those guys that came through, I thought for sure Matt Price would end up in the bigs.
Well, to me, this is the difference between college production and pro projections, right? What we were talking about a little bit with J.C. Horn and J.T. Ebay.
Yeah, I guess. Like, did Matt Price not have good pro projections?
Right. He didn't get drafted highly. The velocity just wasn't quite there. His fastball, I think, was more like 93, 94, and you're going to close in the big leagues. you better have about 4 more pitches to go with that if your fastball's only hitting that.
See, I feel like the difference in miles per hour for a MLB pitcher is the same as like
45.
tenths of a second for
Right.
a 40. Yeah.
You're right.
So I'd like to find the article or what it is to actually be able to quote it, but on the Big Spur, they're saying that Oregon tried to hire Clayton White back in January as their defensive coordinator. That's kind of one of those things. Does that make people like that hire more now that you had another Power 5 school?
Well, Beamer already had said that another Power 5 school
Okay.
was. That makes sense though to put the name to it.
After South Carolina had already hired him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes me like Clayton White more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the reason I brought it up. Like, does
I
that
like
make
the hire, but it makes me like the person more because he said no.
Oh.
No doubt about
Christian
that.
Riley fighting the immediate eligibility of Chandler Morris at TCU.
Yeah, I was trying to mention that in your Shamik Blackshear deal. He's just saying that it's interconference transfers. He's against it.
That seems, why would you do that to another coach's son, though? That seems to be one you just got to let go.
Well, he's saying it's a principle thing within the Big 12.
Are we coming back? Yeah.
I was muted.
You got women's basketball last night. Texas A&M, a buzzer beater in overtime to advance to the Sweet 16. Again, just showing me how good consistently Dawn Staley and company are. This Texas A&M team that beat South Carolina to win the regular season in the SEC loses out before they even get to the finals in the SEC tournament. The team that the Gamecocks played in the SEC tournament was a 3 seed in Georgia in the finals there. They're out of the NCAA tournament now, and yet Dawn Staley and company just keep on trucking in their 7th straight Sweet 16 as they move on to Sunday, 1 o'clock is when they're going to play Georgia Tech in the Sweet 16 matchup. And the consistent dominance is so impressive. It's almost one of those things on Sports Talk Radio. There's not much to discuss, right? It's like there is no other side to the story. It's just amazing. And it continues on for the USC women. And the basketball intro is what reminded me of it. We've been talking more about Pro Day yesterday for Gamecock football and J.C. Horn, the headliner. 4.37, the 40 time that has caught a lot of attention and reportedly improved the draft stock. And we talked a lot about it going in yesterday. The other side of that is answering the questions about opting out and how will NFL organizations accept the explanation that J.C. Horn gave everyone when we heard from him for the first time publicly a few days ago about family issues, and especially his aunt passing away due to COVID. And he said the part that I was impressed with is that he said he would do it again. He would put family above football. And I think when you hear that from the outside looking in, you certainly can respect it. I saw positive feedback from a couple of different areas there, former players and the whole thing that respected that. So also, Patrick, as you've pointed out many times, when you're a heck of a player and you put up tremendous numbers on your pro day, it is a lot easier to overlook other issues when you're an NFL organization and you need a cornerback. It's that simple, I think. And that's where J.C. Horn finds himself, a little bit different than his teammate Israel Mukwama, who did not run yesterday in the 40-yard dash, did measure in at 6'4" and an eighth of an inch, and will be really, really interesting to watch their career path as they move on from South Carolina in a period that just didn't turn out well for Gamecock football and kind of, to me, sums up the Will Muschamp era in that there were a lot of guys who have gone on to the NFL, but unfortunately from the Gamecock perspective did not rack up a bunch of wins during their time in a Carolina uniform. And this brought up the idea I mentioned yesterday, and I looked at the numbers. I'm going to look at them again because when I say it out loud, my brain wants to stop me. But the numbers released from Pro Day yesterday, and the numbers really, really good for J.C. Horn. 4.37 in the 40-yard dash, and then an impressive 41-inch vertical jump, 11 feet 1 inch broad jump, and he bench press 225 19 times. The other really impressive number coming out of Pro Day yesterday was Cedarius Hutcherson, the Gamecock offensive lineman, did that bench press 36 times. We looked it up yesterday, and what the record was some random Eastern Kentucky lineman who did it 51, I think, unofficially, and then the official one at the NFL Combine is like 49 or something like that. Patrick, is that right? I'm getting those numbers right. Okay, so as I bring up those numbers, I also looked down, and there were 7 guys who played off of last year's team working out. 6 other guys besides J.C. Horn, Shi Smith, Hutcherson, the most notable ones, Ernest Jones, Mukuamu, Adam Prentice, and Colin Hill as well. And then there were about a half dozen guys, a couple more, that have played for the Gamecocks prior to last year. Tavian Feaster, kind of the headliner in that group, working out as well. But one of those guys had very similar numbers outside of that 40 time. Actually beat J.C. Horn's numbers in the vertical jump and the broad jump, and the 40 not too far behind at 4.5. And that was a guy that you guys have heard of, and it took us a while to come up with it, or I had you guys guess. And Patrick, I think your quote was, "It's not JT eBay, is it?" But that's exactly who it was, a guy who Gamecock fans remember much differently in his playing career than J.C. Horn. But that was my point of that these numbers can be overhyped. And Patrick, you responded very rationally and logically and succinctly with, well, the tape has to match the numbers. And we were talking about the baseball news of Mark Kingston yesterday, going with the starting rotation of Thomas Farr on Friday, Brandon Jordan on Saturday, which it has been, and then to be announced on Sunday with the possibility that Brett Carey could get a start instead of coming out of the bullpen. And Jake says, I want Brett Carey to start. He's way too good to be in the bullpen. Well, this got us into the conversation about Matt Price being a starter at one point, the All-American closer for the Gamecocks going into his last year, and it didn't really work out as a starting pitcher. And then, hey, what about Matt Price and the pro career and how that didn't work out? And that is kind of the same conversation that we're having about projecting college production and college numbers to pro prospects. And Bill, that got you thinking about what most guy that you were certain that was going to really produce on the next level from a Gamecock perspective, and then didn't end up working out. And we've done the opposite of that as well. Who is it? Is it Marcus Robinson, the guy that is maybe most famous from the Gamecock perspective? I think you can throw Demir Bird in there now as guys who were kind of under the radar in college and then have just gone on to really good pro careers.
I would say, let me look at this career real quick just to make sure.
I would have said Farrow on the opposite end.
Well, but see, I
another good one, yeah.
I'm going to go back a little bit further because Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, he's not that old. Darren Stewart was not a guy that I thought was a huge piece of South Carolina's roster when he was here. He's 32 years old, and he's gone on to have a really good NFL career.
I think he retired.
Yeah, I think he's done now. But yeah, Super Bowl champ
as well.
Denver Broncos. Yeah, that's a good one.
College, but here he is, just consistently taking snaps for the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Stewart, making money.
Stewart was a guy who I was a good player. I'm not trying to say that he kind of, you're right, Marcus Robinson, I feel like never really did much at South Carolina. I think I remember a game against Mississippi State where he and Anthony Wright connected on a bunch of deep balls. But Stewart was a guy who I remember kind of as a recruit in 2005, 2006, and was a good player, but went on to about a 10-year NFL career, and I think has made really good money. If I'm not, not Stephon Gilmore money, but pretty good money. Yeah.
Troy Williamson is a name that Craig popped up on the Facebook live stream there as a guy that you thought was going to be a surefire big-time pro. And produced to a certain degree in college. Good college player, I would say. Not a dominant college player, not to the level of Sidney Rice or Alshon Jeffrey that we've seen as wide receivers for the Gamecocks, even Shi Smith this past year. But a guy that this time of year, what was it, 15 years ago or so, maybe 16, 17 years ago now, put up eye-popping numbers and shot all the way up to, I think, number 7 overall at that point, and just could not quite get it going in the NFL. Yeah, so those are some of the names. And Matt Price, that guy on the baseball field, right, who he is, when you're talking about the back-to-back national championships and playing for a third in a row, he is the face of that, one of the faces for sure. It's Michael Roth, it's Whit Merrifield and Jackie Bradley Jr. and Christian Walker. All those guys are in there. But in winning time, it was Matt Price's time, and without him, it would have been a much different run, you feel like, for the Gamecocks. But for multiple reasons, that just didn't turn out to be professional success. So it's a good example too, kind of on, I guess, your side of things, Patrick, when you're talking about having to evaluate now for the NFL draft, that you can't just go off college production. You have to have a good mix of production and projection. And I feel like that's the struggle that all these NFL organizations are having right now, and the conversations that are going on. And you mentioned the egos that scouts and evaluators have. And to me, that's what this battle is between the pride and the ego of being able to project and to say, all right, this is what we can do with a guy. And also being able to have the reality check and say, yeah, this guy puts up the numbers, but at some point he's got to play too. And I think different organizations value things differently. For your Chicago Bear reference, Bill, earlier with the Mitch Trubisky and not even talking to Deshaun Watson continues to blow all of our minds, and is a good example of an organization putting way too much stock in projecting and their own ability to get something out of a guy, as opposed to, I don't know, what Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen is a great example of it, right? He played at Wyoming. He produced in college, but not to maybe a massive level where we all said, oh, yeah, this guy is clearly going to be one of the best players in the NFL that he's turned out to be.
Completion percentage. It was not accurate.
And yet now he's in great position to get the Bills back and possibly, he's got them back in the postseason, and obviously they're hoping he'll take them to the Super Bowl, and wasn't far away in the last season. So are there other names that pop out to you, Bill, in Gamecock history of guys that you just thought were either going to work out, or guys you were surprised that ended up working out on the next level?
Yeah, I think BJ, maybe because I was younger, but I thought BJ Mackey would go on to a pro career, some kind of pro career. I know that, again, you talk about the tangibles, the things, I guess, that people look for in the NBA back in the was it kind of the late 90s, wasn't necessarily there. But as a point guard, I think you kind of thought that maybe he would be able to get into the league and have a few years, and to not even, I guess I look at it from the standpoint of not even having a career. Like, it's one thing if you want to be that person this morning that's like, well, Jadeveon Clowney's been a bust. He's not lived up to the number 1 pick. That's fine. But he's still made good money and has gone on to an NFL career. We were talking off air about him interviewing or sitting down with the Browns. He'll sign a contract this year. It may not be for as much money as he wants, but he'll sign a contract and he'll play in the NFL this year. I guess I'm thinking of guys who, like, didn't even go on to have any kind of career. And Matt Price fits that mold. Like, I think Matt Price went on instantly to be coaching high school baseball. Michael Rolfe, I don't know, Tim, it's interesting to go back to compare Michael Rolfe and Matt Price. Like, Matt Price was so dominant, and not that Michael Rolfe wasn't, but I guess the way that they pitched, you were telling me off air, you were like, oh, the velocity for Matt Price just wasn't there. It's just, you got to have a second or third pitch. But it felt like, to me, if you had to get 3 outs in an inning at that time in South Carolina baseball history, it was like, man, I'm giving the ball to Matt Price each and every time. I love Michael Rolfe. He's incredible. But give me Matt Price each and every day. But he goes on to not even have a career, and Michael Rolfe makes it several innings with the Angels.
Well, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was the Baltimore Orioles that drafted both Matt Price and Christian Walker at the time, and they both went through the minor league system together for at least a couple of years, and then it stopped for Price and clearly has continued for Christian Walker. So he got a shot. Yeah. And it's not like he couldn't throw in the 90s. It was just you very rarely see a college closer go on to have a bunch of success in the big leagues. I don't remember an example, actually. Houston Street was a guy. Maybe it is the only guy that I can remember, but Houston Street for Texas back in the day, and this was the 04 College World Series that he sticks out to me as playing third base and then warming up on the sideline there, warming up in foul territory, getting ready to come in and close out a game. He's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head, because typically you have your best pitchers as starters in college baseball throwing as much as you can, and then those are the guys who are going to go on and have a bunch of success. But I know that the college game has kind of changed a little bit from that perspective, and I think the Gamecocks in their run back in 2010 deserve some of the credit for that. But yeah,
so
Matt
do
Price,
college starters become MLB closers? Does that happen?
They certainly
now?
can. I'm just saying that I guess most of the closers that I'm thinking of, and you can even say a lot of the, maybe it's not starting pitchers these days because the college game has elevated so much recently. You're seeing guys, Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole and the whole thing coming out of college, and now some of the best pitchers in baseball. But a lot of the closers that I'm thinking of, just with ridiculous velocity, never even went to college baseball at all, just made the jump from, maybe they're from a different country or just from high school to pro ball. It's such a specific kind of deal. And not that Matt Price didn't have good velocity, it's just that didn't have the eye-popping, what you need to be a Major League Baseball closer kind of stuff, a lot like what you're saying with B.J. Mackey. B.J. Mackey, you're a great college basketball player, but it just didn't project to the NBA. And we've seen kind of the opposite of that with recent Gamecock basketball players, like P.J. Dozier is an example. I know he was only at Carolina for 2 years, but clearly his game fits the NBA and has gotten a good career with the Denver Nuggets. Chris Silva, kind of maybe a mix of all of that.
Had he not been a little unstable, and maybe saying a little is being kind, but Chris hits us up on the live stream and says, what about the basketball player that was drafted by the Knicks really high in the NBA? That was surprising. He's talking about Ronaldo Balkman, who was drafted 16th by the Knicks, and that was based – I'll never forget when that happened. He had that 29-16 game against Alabama, which he was just ridiculous that night. And I remember at that time I was really starting to do some scouting and stuff, and I remember some people saying, "Oh, he's going to get drafted in the first round." I was like, "Balkman? Who?" They're like, "Oh yeah, the Knicks love him." I was like, "Okay, and I think Balkman. I mean, let's forget what happened in Brazil for a minute. He had, a 5 or 6 year NBA career? I think 3 with the Knicks and 3 with the Nuggets, if I'm thinking correctly. Like, he did go on to translate it. I was kind of one of those guys, you're like, really, this guy's an NBA career? But
that happens all the time in basketball, too. Like, we were talking about the Kentucky guys. Did you see Brandon Boston from Kentucky did end up declaring and he's going pro? He was just not good at all this year.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it. Like, I don't know what it is. They just have basketball projects more than anybody. If you're a projectable athlete and you were a highly recruited player in high school and you can do anything as an 18-year-old against college competition, then get drafted.
Yeah.
803-404-6100. If you would like to weigh in on the conversation, you can call or text. Same number, 404-6100. Up and rolling on that video stream sponsored by Buford Lending. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, on Twitter at 1075 The Game, the station handle where you can find us this morning. Hope your Thursday is off to a good start. Back into a little bit more of the pro day and the implications. And I didn't realize that Chris Sims thing. I'm looking at his list of top cornerbacks now. No wonder J.C. Horn was commenting on a little bit of a troll job. All Patrick's grizzled already. I love it.
I don't even know. I hate to say, Chris Sims doesn't know I'm not going to say Chris Sims knows what he's talking about. He played in the NFL for a long time. He obviously knows what he's talking about. But I do think he does these things to try and get attention and get people.
The clicks. Then that's what we got to do. We got to come up with a great clickbait tweet from the station account there at 107.5 The Game. We're still trying to figure it out. If you guys can help us, we'll get creative as we roll on this morning. This is in response to the Chicago Bears tweeting out the picture of Andy Dalton with just QB1. QB1. Andy Dalton. Poor Jen. Sorry, Jen. Thank you, Craig, for reminding me to pump the subscribing to the YouTube 107.5 The Game channel. Feel free to do that. It'll especially make Patrick happy. Probably not as happy as he was to get some was that Venmo or PayPal? Which way did Anthony from Kershaw go?
Cash App.
Oh, wow. He hooked Patrick up yesterday. Anthony from Kershaw, our official sponsor of his coming whiteboard for the NFL draft. It's going to be posted up on the live stream.
Get a GoFundMe for.
Patrick's just shameless. It's part of the charm.
How are you doing on the air fryer? Is it time for a new air fryer? Do we need to maybe pop that in there?
Nah, we're good.
Good on the air fryer?
Honestly, the next thing I really want is one of those super tall backed, comfy video game chairs for the live stream. Yeah.
Great eye roll from both of you guys, Jen and Bill. First time ever, I think, simultaneous eye rolls from you guys. You're on the same wavelength. It's beautiful.
Don't you guys feel sometimes you want like a really comfy chair for this thing while we're sitting down so long?
As Jen's standing.
When we do the 6-hour show?
Bill, the exact opposite thing Bill needs for this show is a more comfortable chair as he stretches and yawns.
What are you
He's
sitting
completely out cold.
What are you two sitting on?
I got the folding chair. It does have the pad on the bottom of it.
You're in one of like the like you'll sit on the sideline of like a soccer game or football game type of chair, like that comes in the little bag that you.
No.
Like a metal folding chair.
Yeah,
he's got the 1980s. He's got the 1980s, like the multicolored. It's got the straps and the metal. Yeah.
I'm ready to deal some bridge. You guys in? Anybody in?
What kind of chair are you on, Bill?
I mean,
Lift it up.
It's more of a kitchen.
You're like
a kitchen chair.
Kitchen table type of chair.
Yeah.
That's a kitchen chair.
Yeah. Look, I'm not afraid to go lay down on the couch and just just lay down and just do the show that way. I've done that before, and I'm not. If it comes to that, I'll do that. Now, it's not like a few weeks ago where I was sick and in between breaks I was laying on the floor here. But no.
I can't like lean back in my chair because it's creaky and it doesn't really stand up straight. And also, I'm starting the show from a night of manual labor, so my back kind of hurts. And when I get home, anyway, like
wait, you didn't describe the chair for the people out there. Come on, man.
It's a desk chair. It's a regular desk chair, like a leather desk chair, but it's old and it doesn't like have any of the.
It kind of looks like the Dr. Evil chair, right? You guys with me on this?
Like yeah, but if I push any weight on backwards, it just like starts to click and fall backwards. So
just like the Dr. Evil chair. Perfect.
He's very close.
You don't have the joystick, I guess, to move back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw Flavio wondering if I can ship him over.
David says Patrick needs his exercise ball. Well, you're not going with that?
That was actually way worse for my back. It hurt. Actually hurt trying to stay upright on that thing.
That soreness can be good for you sometimes, Patrick. Well, we talked about bananas, and now we talked about chairs this week. We're just hitting on all the hot topics. What are we coming back with? We're going to talk about granola bars? Where are we going when we come back? Who knows? You guys got nothing? All right.
Well, I was laughing. I did start laughing on the live stream.
No.
I'm watching the news, and they showed the freighter? Is it whatever the ship is?
Blocking the Suez Canal.
Yeah, and they showed like a video of like a team of I don't know what is it, engineers that are going to figure that thing out, and they're all standing around with their hands up like I don't know. You got a plan?
I mean that thing is how many thousands of
in it to
pounds.
see if we can just like soap it out of there. And they're all got their masks on. There's like 7 guys with their hands up like I don't know what to do about this.
That's apparently good. I was reading about it. That's apparently going to affect a lot of things here. Like people are not going to end up getting some of their products if you order something online. There's a pretty good chance it was affected by that.
I hear that I think they just showed that whiteboards are being blocked in the canal.
The canal.
Only show in America that will go from discussing what you're sitting on to international trade within about 17 seconds. It's the early game here on 107.5.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach Shane Beamer. 1075 The Game.
You never know what you're going to get on this show. It's kind of like around my house these days. I never know what kind of day it's going to be. Yesterday, rough day. 6 and 8-year-old just did not want to get along, and the 1-year-old actually was smiley. He wasn't He didn't pick up every single thing on the floor and try to eat it. Only a few. He's still a magnet for that stuff. It's why I'm a little bit more associated and familiar with my floors these days than typically. And it's why I appreciate Zero Res that much more. Zero Res has been out to my house a couple of times, cleaned my carpets, cleaned an area rug in the living room there, has freshened up the tiles in both the bathroom and the kitchen. Done a great job. Great results. But it's how Zero Res does it that especially I appreciate now, having those 3 kids around the house. No harsh chemicals involved in their process. It's a powered water system that they use. Also means no leftover soapy residue. It's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Especially important to me these days with the little guy waddling around all over the place and me following him around and clearly not in control of the household. That's a different story. Right now, I wanted to give you the information so you can get Zero Res out to your house, or if you're in charge of a business, their commercial cleaning division out there working day and night, following all those CDC guidelines, making sure everything is clean and sanitized. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. Book online at ZeroResColumbia.com. 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. That's ZeroResColumbia.com, 803-262-4020. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Oh, good line, Stacy. Great line. Pain is weakness leaving the body. See Chris's offer of his Cowboys gaming chair?
Oh,
I think you should take it. Just put a little Redskins blanket over it or something, or Washington blanket over. Good to go.
cover.
I do have some cool blankets here.
Completely agree, Sonny. You guys are brothers from another mother.
It is a very pretty morning out there.
Let us see it, man. Don't be hogging it on yourself.
I don't know if it translates on the live stream.
Absolutely does.
Let's see if it's on. Yeah, it translates. Ah. Feels good out here.
Wow, beautiful. Just keep it on a sunrise. Nobody wants to see your face.
Oh, is my face in the way? Just like that?
No, I'm just saying when we do the show, just stay right there.
It probably should. It's actually warm enough I could sit outside this morning. Sorry, go back to where I was at. Oh,
You better be careful. We're going to try to sell that sunrise now.
what you got to do? The morning minutes of bliss.
How about Dave with a rare positive text in on the show? I bought a Lazy Boy office chair for my home office during quarantine, and it's one of the best investments I've made in recent times.
See?
What are you? Is that a measuring tape?
Yeah.
Thought you had some kind of exercise band to go in there.
I wanted to see how much space is behind me on the wall from where I sit right now.
Come on by, Steven. Come on by. Have a cup of coffee.
So have you measured so you know that board will fit?
Well, I can move my desk forward a little bit so that I have more space behind me. But as we stand right now, I can't have enough space.
Time
Thank
to
you.
do. So, aren't you coming up on time to move houses, or are you keeping this one for another year?
I hope I keep this one for another year.
You're trying to keep this one. It must be a glorious time for you right now because heating and air right now is not really necessary. You probably don't even have that on at all, do you? It's completely turned off.
No, I don't. My roommate is trying to get into medical school, and it depends what school he gets into. If he gets into Columbia, we'll probably keep this place, hopefully. But I don't know. I can't really afford to live on my own. It's a lot more expensive to do that.
Better get that cash thing back up.
Yeah, what was your wingspan, Patrick? I'm going to compare it to the Gamecocks from yesterday.
What was what?
Your wingspan, since you got the measuring tape there, everybody wants to know. Let's see, you're about height, right? Are you about 6 feet?
Yeah.
So it should be then, because your wingspan's supposed to be your length, 72 inches, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what you got.
Can't really do it while keeping my arms straight.
Hold it in one hand, and then move it to the other hand. There you go.
Yeah, but they're still a couple inches shy here. All right, now I'm touching the wall.
Then move your chair. Stand up. Do whatever you got to do. You don't have to do it on camera. Okay, what you got?
Right.
I'm guessing 72.
70.
Ooh, short arms.
I got short arms.
Oh,
I've
short
never
arms.
felt like I had long arms. That's probably about right. I've always felt short arms.
Wow. J.C. Horn also listed as 6 feet, 3/4, 77 and a quarter inch wingspan.
Whoa.
Shai Smith at 5'9" and a half, 75 and more than a half wingspan.
Dang.
I actually heard Joe Thomas go on a rant about how annoying it is how they do arm length. Because, like, for offensive linemen, it doesn't actually matter how long your arm is. It matters how far you can get. So, like, some guys have abnormally long hands and, like, a really long middle finger that can make their arm length, like, an inch longer, and that can make all the difference. But in reality, you need to know from, like, the base of your chest to the palm of your hand, like, outstretched. That's actually what's important.
Right. That makes sense.
My middle finger isn't really that long, but it's effective.
Ha. You know what I heard recently is that males are supposed to have their ring finger longer than their index finger, and females don't. It's the opposite for females.
I think my... Oh, wait, no. Both my ring fingers are definitely longer.
Jen, are you checking? Is your index finger longer than your ring finger?
No,
It's not.
it's
Interesting.
not.
Just something that I heard. I'm sure it's unscientific.
I also heard yesterday that
But it sounds like something that's perfect for this show.
it has to do with male brain damage, but never mind. We'll go into that later.
So what'd you get wingspan, Bill?
57.
I think it's about 65 or 66 is about what I ballpark. Because
Unfortunate.
it was, if I was holding the ruler measuring tape, it was 62 at my palm. So if you factor in that much more, it was about 4 inches.
Bill's breaking down his wingspan on the live video stream.
Well,
This show
We're back.
completely off the rails today. And I love it. Off the rails in a good way as we kick off the second half.
I wasn't the only one.
Well, Patrick was actually doing something productive and measuring his wall. He's got the big NFL draft whiteboard coming in that has been sponsored by Anthony from Kershaw on the Cash App. And he's, Patrick, all kind of proud. You can't even mention it without him just beaming from the glowing from the inside out. It's fantastic. And so as he was doing that, we all thought he was measuring his wingspan, talking about pro day stuff from yesterday, and J.C. Horn headlining things, and especially that 4.37 40, and me trying to make sure we don't go way too far and overhype things up on a pro day, because I mentioned the numbers that Horn also put up in the broad jump and the vertical jump being really hyped up by some. And I said, well, JT eBay actually had better numbers than that. And we all understand there was a massive difference in production from their college careers. And that does go into this draft evaluation process. Sometimes some teams put more into the production, some teams put more into the projection, and It might just depend on the specific prospect as well. But then Bill was being classic Bill, watching the news and seeing there's a block in the Suez Canal, breaking that down for us, and Trey bringing it all together. Hold on a second, Bill. Trey says on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, who is the ship that will block the Suez Canal against other teams this year? And that actually applies to something that you were just talking about from college football. And there's an issue from a guy that we talked about as a possible connection to Chad Morris's coaching career, the former Clemson offensive coordinator, former Arkansas head coach, now offensive coordinator at Auburn. What was he? Where was he at last year? He wasn't at Auburn, was he? Am I making that up?
Chad
He was
Morris.
at Auburn. Yeah.
Chad Morris was at Auburn with Miles on.
Right. And now where the heck is Chad Morris? Do we even know? Does he have a job? We're talking about him because his son Chandler is trying to,
Wait a minute,
has
let's play this
transferred
game. No,
from.
let's play this game. Where is Chad Morris?
Chandler Morris, his son, was a big-time quarterback prospect, went to Oklahoma, transferred over to TCU, and yet has not been released from Oklahoma to TCU is the latest story because Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma against interconference transfers, a lot like we've seen from the SEC.
He's unemployed. He's unemployed.
So it's an unanswerable question. That's what we do here on the show.
At the last, this is actually written 2 days ago, a list of possible candidates who could make sense as Allen's next head football coach.
Here in town?
No. In
Allen High School?
Texas. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
With like a $60 million stadium. So
Right.
how the mighty have fallen because Chad Morris is now in the running to be a high school head coach.
Well, look, he's made.
It's not a normal high school, of course,
It's
but-
not a normal high school, and let's be serious. He's made money, and I think this is important for all companies. It's kind of like what I'm watching with Will Muschamp right now. And all joking aside about whatever you want to say about Will Muschamp, they've made their money. Lord knows Will Muschamp's made money. He gets to be around his kid. Did you guys see like the graphic that somebody put out on Twitter? Like basically, he's got his son Jackson there, and then he's got like a cousin.
Nephew, I think.
Muschamp's nephew. He's got his whole family there. He still get paid well. If you're Chad Morris, you made your money. You probably want to watch your son Chandler. I don't know how far is Allen from Fort Worth. Any idea?
I think Allen is in the Dallas area.
So you can coach high school. You can do what you love. You can still be able to watch your son play. I get stuff like that because I think too often we look at coaches and we just expect them to be coaches and not actually family men. I was reading the release yesterday that got put out by Jay Graham. I don't know if people saw it. It was actually an interesting, just kind of college football day yesterday with some things going on. Jay Graham resigning at Alabama and citing some mental health concerns that he's going to get some professional help and step away from the game. But I think sometimes we look at these guys, these college football coaches, and you're like, oh, yeah, they can't have families. They're not allowed to be able to go watch their kids play Friday night sports or whatever. And I can understand why Chad Morris would maybe want to do that because I'm with you guys. I would assume if Chad Morris wanted to get an offensive coordinator job at a Sun Belt school or a mid-major program, he could do it.
But why would
somebody
you?
out there would hire?
Do you want to guess what the salary for the last coach at Allen High School is? Terry Gamble, who just retired.
I'm going to go. Yeah, I was going to go $250,000.
Not that high. It's 125.
No, get out of here. They make a
That's
lot of
low.
money.
It looks like that's
on the
kind of-
books, maybe. The booster club will get them double that.
All right,
Thing. Come
if you
on.
want to bring up the books, did you guys see the article on ESPN about Rush Probst? Am I
Yep.
saying that correctly? And what happened what was going on at Valdosta High School?
Mhm.
And funny money, as if you haven't seen it, go check it. It's ESPN.
Are we talking about a couple weeks ago when he was talking about Georgia and Alabama?
Well, there was
It's all connected, I think.
It is all connected, but now it's turning in the guy who recorded him did an interview with ESPN, and it wasn't centered. The interview he did, the article that came out, I think it was either the beginning of this week or over the weekend, wasn't centered around the Alabama-Georgia allegations. It was around the way that high school was the way the football program was being run and how they were paying kids to move in and cover their rent. Like he said, basically he needed $2,500 a month for 4 months to cover a particular kid that was going to move into Valdosta and I guess play football for Valdosta High School. And then they talked about Jake Garcia, the quarterback who transferred from California because California decided to shut down football for COVID reasons. and Jake Garcia transferring in, but they got ruled ineligible and went to Grayson High School and is now enrolled at Miami. So a lot of interesting things there behind the scenes in high school football that I would assume none of us really have an association with.
Well, the headline, it's by Mark Schlabach, ESPN college football reporter. Lawsuits, secret taping, and the unraveling of a powerhouse high school football program. So hyping it up for sure. The question for me in all these things always is, I get the story. None of us is surprised by any kind of shenanigans, really. Okay, where's the evidence? And that's where I guess the secret taping comes in. Where's kind of the smoking gun? And that's the thing with the Tennessee allegations that came originally, I think, from the Dan Patrick Show about McDonald's bags of cash and the whole thing. I guess it would probably be asking too much to have anything like that on videotape as evidence of a transaction going down. And even if you saw somebody from Tennessee handing a McDonald's bag to somebody else, how do you know there's exactly cash in there? But I mean, you're not surprised by this, are you, Bill? Having been around recruiting, and you're always telling us from the college basketball perspective.
The high school stuff or the Georgia, Alabama stuff?
That, I mean, to me, it's kind of connected to a certain degree. That stuff like this goes on. We all know it does. To me, it's just how blatant do you make it, and how dumb are you in not being able to make sure it doesn't come out.
But again, are you referring to like high schools paying?
Which one surprises you more?
What?
Right. So you're saying that there's two separate things in your mind.
Yeah, the college thing, like, I mean, you have to be naive not to think that at college that there's not some financial transaction that takes place to accommodate a kid's family. Or, I mean, you just, and I'm not narrowing it down to one.
Big time high school, it's the same thing, right? I don't know. I think it's ridiculous, and it's a very foreign concept to me. People funneling money and doing
that's
legal things to improve high school programs. I think it's a little ridiculous, but
that's where I'm with you on that. Like, I guess there's people who don't, like, if you read the article, this guy, Nubs or whatever they call him.
But you couldn't make up, right?
Yeah,
you couldn't make that up.
Literally, as you're reading the article, you're like, that does sound like small town Georgia and high school football. But
65-year-old guy, the former executive director of the Valdosta Touchdown Club.
Yeah, I'm with you, Patrick. Like, I'm sure there are people out there. I have an affinity for Lexington High School. I went there, played basketball there. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to a high school football game there. Yeah, like I don't like. But I'm guessing there are people out there, and it's like the movie Varsity Blues, that sit around and talk about the upcoming high school football season. And like, I mean, that's how it works. I just don't feel like that's where I go with it, so I can't relate to that.
That's why it's a big deal in, I guess, I know Valdosta, it's big and big deal in Texas, but it's just crazy to me. It's not a big deal in Maryland. I don't think Ralph Friedgen would ever go coach high school football in the state of Maryland. That's not a story we would hear.
Don't we expect Chad Morris to end up being an analyst at TCU, where his son is? I mean, why doesn't that make sense with the way that, analysts pop up just like Muschamp at Georgia?
But maybe he doesn't want to do that. I think sometimes
a little bit fun to coach high school football, especially when I know Allen's a powerhouse. They probably have ridiculous talent.
Let's be honest. He doesn't. I would assume he's not taking a teaching job there. I'm assuming they already have an athletic director. I kind of assume, just based on what I kind of know about Texas high school football, he literally is coaching football there and nothing else. Like,
it's probably so easy for him. It's probably like you're playing Madden and you set the game mode to easy and just.
I mean,
but scheming it up.
Yeah, I mean, he watches film for 5 seconds and he's like, okay, we're done.
Think about your quality of life that you probably have, because, like you said, he's making six figures. He's already made a ton of money. I'm guessing he doesn't have to be the driver's ed teacher and driving around, like 15 or 16-year-olds. I'm assuming, as you said, would you say $60 million stadium?
Something I'm pretty sure,
His job, I'm assuming, is to just coach the football team. This is like a small D2 program that he's running.
I mean, that's the school Kyler Murray went to, and I know they didn't lose a game in his entire career, so they're obviously really talented. So I don't know when's the last time he's coached the team that's 10 times more talented than his opponent. He probably hasn't been.
I went to Lexington when Jimmy Satterfield was the head football coach and the athletic director, and I was like, man, Coach Satterfield's got the life. He just wanders around the cafeteria, talks to people, like hangs out. Like he's a great dude. All the students, all of us loved him. I mean, I still remember that he walked over to the lunch table and I was sitting out with a couple guys. He was like asking them early on, I was like, oh, you coming out to try out? We need you at the football team. I was like, Coach, what about me? He's like, oh, we do need water, boys. So yeah, come on out. I'm sure you can get the water out to the wide receiver pretty quickly. Like, I always loved Coach Satterfield. You know, like he was a great dude.
Was he a teacher? Was your
No.
football coach teachers? My football coach was always teachers. They were the gym teachers.
Yeah, poor Coach Harris had to be the history teacher, but he loved it. Like he was a really good history teacher.
Okay,
Like,
so he's not poor Coach Harris then.
yeah, well, he wasn't. Yeah, he did a good job. He was a good teacher. But yeah, but Coach Satterfield, I mean, I'm guessing Tom Knotts at Dutch Fork like wouldn't trade his life for. I mean,
Well, there's a reason he went there after retiring in the North Carolina school system. And Jim Carlin, Codger, hits us up there, former Gamecock coach, said he coached at a private school before he passed. And then it's when you're a coach, that's what you do, right? So I understand what you're saying, though. But also, with the way that college football works now with analyst positions, I think you can kind of scratch that itch without adding any of the negatives. And I think that's what Will Muschamp is doing, because I know you mentioned it, but there's still a bunch of drama with high school football, and you do have to deal with parents, and there's a booster club, and then you got to deal with your assistants. And I think there's still, it's not quite maybe as cush as they're making it out to be. Chad Morris, though, where he ends up, we'll update you on that as we continue to get towards football season.
we got Chad Morris is on the live stream. Have you not seen Chad Morris is right here
Yeah.
on the live stream?
Actually, I met Chad not too long ago. He's here in town. He says, I'm right here in Irmo driving to work. Yes, I have a job. He was out at the golf tournament the other day as well. Works locally and has fun, I think, with the name Chad Morris. 803-404-6100 is the number into the program. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. Got something here? I don't do it. We're good.
Good to know you people think coaching high school football is easy.
That's got to be James Reynolds.
Oh, I mean, it kind of is. Especially when you've already coached in the SEC as a head coach. Probably pretty
Right.
easy.
When you've won state championships in Texas already, yeah, it's easy.
I was going to say, yeah, like, it's one thing to say it's easy to coach. It's another when you've gone and coached in college for multiple years. You'd already won state championships, and now you're going back to a high school that probably is easy to recruit to.
I think Patrick's got you down in the 5th round, Craig.
Ooh. Well, wingspan longer than height. Depends what position you play. 5'10" and a half, you got to probably be a safety. Hide you there. Slot corner, I don't know.
Go out and run the 40 right now, Craig. If you crack 5 seconds, I'll be really impressed.
Record yourself doing it.
Those are decent slot corner measurables.
Doesn't count if you don't record yourself.
Good call, Mike. We got our own funneling money issues here on the show. Love it.
I'm open for business.
Have you guys been down to Valdosta? I don't think I've ever been. If I've been, it was a quick through.
I might have driven through it at one point.
I don't even know where it is. I'm assuming it's what, southern Georgia near Alabama?
I think so. 150, I don't think it's going to do it, Craig.
Oof.
Yeah, I might have driven through it at some point.
It looks like we might have the same upper body strength. He said he benched 25 pounds 8 times.
25 pounds 8 times?
Yeah.
Dude, you talk about being like that little virus I got, and I got tested multiple times for COVID, so I didn't have it. But that virus I helped move a recliner chair the other day, my chest was killing me after I had to take a 45-minute nap. I might be in bad shape right now.
Where is Terry Bowden? I read this the other day. It's him and a bunch of other dudes. Oh, La Monroe, Louisiana Monroe.
Oh,
And who else is on his staff? I think is it Rich Rod? I think Rich Rod might be on his staff.
yeah, Rich Rod sounds right. Because I guess they're buddies.
Well, Rich Rod was with Tommy Bowden at Clemson. That's how he got in the Bowden family.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it. I watched an interview with Rich Rod being like, "Yeah, I was actually just not going to do anything, but then Terry called me, so."
And then is there a defensive coordinator that we know as well? I think there might be.
Louisiana Monroe?
Mm-hmm. No, never heard of this dude. Zach Alley. He's the opposite end of the spectrum. He was with Clemson at Boise State.
They got the Dynasty boys funneling them money.
He's got a Clemson connection, though. Was a GA there.
Supposed to be in the 80s today.
So that is a fascinating coaching staff they got at Louisiana Monroe. Their defensive coordinator is 27 years old. Their offensive coordinator is a former Michigan and West Virginia head coach. Wow.
I'm saying the Duck Dynasty guys are paying them under the table.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot about those guys down there. Is that show still on?
I have no idea.
Oh, sounds like Chris is going to be a linebacker draft pick. A safety. He can be a safety at 225, right?
Yeah, well, you can be a linebacker 225 now.
No, I didn't see the. You guys see the mailbox thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
a Clemson
funny.
University
I saw
like give day brochure. And he said, "I think I'll pass this year."
Good for him.
Jen, I'll have to try and figure out how to listen to this later. For some reason, it's not playing on my phone, but it shouldn't have been 56 seconds.
But
Unless you have me involved in it. Do you have just him?
Yeah, it was just 6 minutes. It was just him.
Yeah, I'll listen to it. We'll fix this. It looks like you're on the right path with what we got to do.
You know what? Just save it as an MP3.
You guys in on Last Chance U for basketball?
Man, I can't.
No, but I do want to watch it.
I won't watch it. I
will watch it.
tried
I've heard good
outside
things
last
about this
night.
season.
I coached up soccer.
All right, we're heading back in.
I'm glad they switched to basketball because football had kind of run its course. They'd beaten that thing into the ground.
Craig, what do you mean? What is he? Nah, I'm confused. What did I miss with Trey's classy approach?
Talking about Beamer, I think.
All right, heading up.
4.37. J.C. Horn runs at Gamecocks Pro Day yesterday, headlining what was for him a job interview, but it was one of those job interviews where you go in and you know you have the job, you just don't know how much money you're going to make. Is that a fair comparison? Is that the way to put it, Patrick? With J.C. Horn's track record, he's clearly going to be a top-level draft pick and kind of had been rated number 3. You're not really telling me that the NFL gurus and experts out there are dropping down the guy that they did have at number 1 or at least number 2 as far as a cornerback on the board because of an injury right now. That how does this affect the long-term projectability of Caleb Farley, the former Virginia Tech guy?
Well,
It very well might not, but teams are afraid to draft a guy who hasn't played in a year and is now hurt. And generally, you want to draft a guy in the first round who's going to contribute right away. And Caleb Farley does not look like he's going to contribute right away.
Yeah, I was going to say quickly. What helped J.C. Horn more yesterday? 4.37 or Caleb Farley's injury?
Farley, for sure.
And the injury is back surgery that I'm seeing.
Yep.
And so, this article I'm reading seems so ridiculous. Completely take him off the board? He goes from number 1 or number 2 cornerback in the entire draft to undraftable?
No way. No
This-
way.
This NFL media hype. Blows my mind this time of year. I'll continue to be an old man and just be grizzled as hour 3 starts now. Not now.
What's that article? Is undraftable now?
Completely off the board for some teams.
I honestly bet you that's other teams. I bet you that's just they're trying to be savvy and say, yeah, he's off our board, so that other teams will be convinced not to draft him. They're trying to push him down into the second round.
Least trustable name maybe ever by a writer. I'm reading this guy wrote this thing on NFLmocks.com. Dan Schmelzer.
Of course. Jen, you want to try and cut this sleep number real quick?
No, she doesn't.
I know she doesn't, but
I would love to.
doesn't have a choice.
All right, we'll dump you guys out of here.
Yeah, get us out of here.
So the Last Chance U basketball, I've heard about it on DC radio because there's a kid from DeMatha. Oh, Oak Hill. Mark just said it. DeMatha and Oak Hill. I think his name's Joe Hampton, and apparently he is like a nightmare to coach. And I've heard that the coach is really like you end up watching it and you're like, wow, God bless this guy for maintaining his composure because this is difficult.
Are you ready for this? This is pretty impressive, I know. I know we did this, more than a year ago, right? Trey, I'm looking at my sheet right now. 5.85. That's why I had a problem with people making fun of Colin Hill's speed, and he runs a 4.8 something, I think, yesterday, 4.89, so basically a 4.9. Mine is 5.85 40 time from this.
Bill was over 6. Bill was over 6. I know that.
Yeah.
He was the only one of us that got over 6.
And did you have me beat, or did I have you beat?
I don't know. I don't know where my thing is. I would love to find it.
Mine was just sitting in my backpack here. And do I have yours too? No. I think everybody got their own. I kept mine for humbling moments like this to remember.
Yeah.
I know I retweeted it way back in the day, so we'd have the record for it. So it's out there. Feel free to look it up if you guys want to go back on the. I think I put it up on. Maybe it's on mine or it's on the 107.5 The Game station one. I'm not sure. I think it might be on both. On Twitter.
Trey said, "What's the best resource for NFL draft projections?" That's where you got to have multiple. My favorite guys to follow. If you have The Athletic, then Dane Brugler, he's really good. Mike Renner for PFF is really good. Daniel Jeremiah for NFL.com is really good. But that's the thing; they all have like way different projections. There's certain guys that each of them love, and some of them hate, and that's where you get to like watch it yourself and decide. PFF is usually like outside the box on a lot of people because they're very analytically driven.
Like, do you have an example?
Well, I can tell you that I can tell you that one guy Jeremiah loves is Tutu Atwell for Louisville because he is just outrageously fast. Like, jumps off the screen how fast he is, but he wasn't that productive, and like I guess on a snap per snap basis didn't do much to blow away PFF, and I think they have him as like a 3rd or 4th rounder, but Jeremiah has him as a 1st round grade.
What position?
Wide receiver. He was a quarterback for some Miami high school, Northwestern or something in high school, and they won like 2 state championships, and he's just silly fast, but he's tiny. He's like 165 pounds. The guys like that are really scary. Yeah.
A 1st round grade?
Yeah, he had him in his top 50, yeah. And then I think he ended up dropping him down to the back end of his top 50 just because of how much the speed, he likes the speed. He also doesn't have Penei Sewell as his number 1 tackle. He has Rashawn Slater from Northwestern as his number 1 tackle, which is kind of strange.
Are we talking about Chris Sims?
No, we're talking about just Trey asked about best place to look at NFL draft projections, and just there's a wide array of opinions out there, depending on where you look.
He also asked about our own 40 times from back in the day, so I have my little sheet right here and looked it up. 5.85 was my
I'm
time.
gonna check one of my old backpacks.
I was the only one that improved on their second run.
You hear that hype?
And I came out of it with a pretty severely pulled hamstring.
And they just leave me here to complete.
Coffee, maybe some Cheerios. I'm out
I
of
don't
the
have a lot of papers in this backpack, but see if any of them happen to be.
I've never even heard that phrase, rolling chicken bones. That's a thing? What does that even mean? Maybe that was an autocorrect thing? I don't know. Yes, Mark. Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, because when do you sprint in life?
Never.
Had to get some Cheerios. No bananas. I've eaten all the bananas I didn't go to the store yesterday.
Why are you showing that on the live stream like we've never seen Cheerios?
Thought you guys wanted to know what I might snack on for a minute. Straight up.
You're just annoying those of us who aren't eating. And Patrick, was that you with the train?
The what?
Thought I heard a train there. Was that your house?
Probably.
Yep, that's. I remember living in downtown Columbia. You just don't even notice it after a while.
I never know. I grew up next to a train track too. That's why I was used to it always.
The question is, though, were you on the right side of the tracks or the wrong side?
We were on the wrong side for sure.
That explains a lot. That's why we like.
Man,
Yeah,
I
I
just,
can hear you.
this backpack has the worst.
Home to first.
I just moved and I threw every paper in my room into like a folder into a backpack. So I just have like the widest array. I have like tax papers and then like tickets to the Kentucky game from a couple years ago and Ole Miss a couple years ago. I'm like, why are these in here?
Good question, Hope. Yeah,
I'm
why?
just like having a bowl. I'm just having it's a little snack. It's just a little snack.
This is not going to work out well. I'm guessing we're going to get a choking hot take here coming up in about 7 minutes. No
I
milk
did
to
switch to that. I switched to that Fairlife milk. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That
Yeah.
Nope.
it's pretty
Good
good.
call.
We go
It is
past
good.
when we drive home. We go past the Fairlife. That farm has expanded so much. There's now a hotel there. They have a steakhouse.
Whoa.
It's in Winamac, in Indiana, but it's called Cow Farm. It's a huge place. It's really cool to watch how it's grown. Kind of cool.
Is Scott still there on the phones?
No, he gave up.
Smart move.
Thank you for your great story about back home. Is Scott still on the phone line?
Right? I know.
Hey, we're going in the intro. Somebody's got to be running this show.
No,
Yeah, that
Hope,
works
I
really
have
well.
milk. I have milk in the fridge. Country music.
Perfect timing.
Just
Thank
pulled
you,
out my cheat sheet from signing day for a couple weeks ago.
You're up.
So here's where we are today. Steven on YouTube Live. Rolling chicken bones is a voodoo fortune-telling technique. Thank you, Steve. You're wondering, what in the world? Well, this does actually kind of have to do with sports because he mentioned that rolling chicken bones is the most effective NFL draft technique in the last few years. That's the thing, too. Right? I try not to go too far on the soapbox because there are plenty of examples of where organizations get it right when you project someone that might not make sense to those of us from the outside looking in, or based off of college career production. And Josh Allen is my best example to use these days. Is there another better one, Patrick, since this is your wheelhouse right now, getting all into the pro day stuff, and your draft board's on the way, courtesy of Anthony from Kershaw and the Cash App. Better example than Josh Allen?
For why you draft for trades?
Right.
Josh Allen is definitely the best recent example. I mean, but this is why, like, it's more important in certain positions. Like pass rushers, you draft for trades. Like there are very few elite edge rushers in the NFL that aren't spectacular athletes. Like, that's just kind of how it goes because it's such a physical position that the best athlete usually wins out. It's a size speed combo. I mean, when you look at all the number one picks, I felt like every year it was a pass rusher going number one between Clowney and Myles Garrett. Then you look at like the Bosas and Chase Young. They're all just spectacular athletes, and you need that size speed combo and to be a high level pass rusher. So it's probably more important there than anything. And corner really does matter. Like for J.C. Horn, I know that the biggest concern for him is going to be trying to dial back the physicality, not in a sense of we need you to be less physical, but what he does in college, the way they kind of attack you with the line of scrimmage, you can get away with murder at the line of scrimmage in college football. And in the NFL, you're going to get flagged for that on every single play. So he's going to have to dial it back a little bit, and that might hurt him initially, like getting beat off the line a little bit. So teams were probably worried a little bit, like, will he be able to recover? Does he have the long speed to recover if he gets beat off the line of scrimmage because he can't get his hands on guys and be as physical as he might like? And I think he answered all of those questions yesterday.
4.37, the 40 time that headlined I'm trying to put it the correct way or a way that I don't annoy myself when I say it. I was going to say an outstanding pro day workout or an eye-popping one, and those are ways you can put it for sure. I'm going to say a notable one, a day that he made himself some money, but keeping in mind that JT Ebe also worked out yesterday, jumped an inch higher and an inch farther in the broad jump, the vertical jump, and then ran a 4.5, so a much different deal.
We also have, I feel like we're taking unnecessary shots at JT Ebe, who did try. I mean, I assume he was out there giving it his best, but we are also taking unnecessary shots at JT Ebe, who we have game film of just completely whiffing on multiple tackles. Like, we have game film of JC Horn.
That was you taking the shot there. I'm just pointing out his time.
It's a group effort. It's a group. Look, man, we're a team. Don't all of a sudden, when we're taking shots together as a team, don't all of a sudden go all individual on me here and go they're all I and team here and you back out of it. We have video of that.
Yeah, lay off him, Tim. I knew he was going to test well. I could see the athleticism on tape.
On the team, you got good players and bad players. Shi Smith, 4.43 is what he ran yesterday. And mentioned it earlier, Patrick, but you felt like J.C. Horn went into yesterday having a certain standard that he needed to live up to in order to not lose money. And Shi Smith kind of on the other end of the spectrum, way down the list in wide receiver prospects, more in like the number 15 range, as opposed to J.C. Horn was number 3 for cornerback prospects going in. And so Shi Smith needed to do something to kind of get himself up that list, and that would have been running a 40 probably in the 4.3s-ish, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't lose himself anything. I think his testing kind of confirmed what you know. He's really fast, but he might not be like Henry Ruggs or Jalen Waddle type fast. But he did fine. It wasn't like anybody's going to look at him any different now. J.C. Horn, straight up, I wouldn't have blamed him if he said, I'm going to come to Carolina Pro Day, but I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to be there. I'll talk to people. I'll support my teammates, but I'm not going to test because he didn't need to.
Mark hits us up and says, I saw Shameik Blackshear was complaining that he didn't get an invite to our pro day. Bill, you mentioned that tweet yesterday. Blackshear, he was the number 1 prospect out of the state of South Carolina, right? At least at one time. And really, it kind of coincides with the trend of those guys not working out on the next level. You can throw a couple of other names in there, I think, after the tremendous run that the Gamecocks had specifically of getting typically the Mr. Football in the state of South Carolina. But it hasn't been the same production here in the last few years after which Damian Clowney might have been the last guy. Obviously, you're not going to have the same production as Clowney, who's called the biggest, the most impressive high school prospect of a generation in the last several decades. But typically you have guys, at least with productive college careers, going on to NFL careers, and Blackshear was basically saying that South Carolina is costing him a job interview, which I think a lot of us find hard to believe when you got a guy like JT Ebe or Caleb Kinlaw, other guys working out. It was 2, 4, 6, 7 guys that didn't play for the Gamecocks last year working out. And maybe it was because Blackshear ended his college career at TCU, but we don't have any of the details, I guess is my point. what we do have is an example of a player prospect speaking poorly about a school, which is probably not going to be looked upon favorably by any type of future employer. Because if you're doing that now, what would keep you from doing that in the future? And then when you have a lot to prove, you don't want to make missteps like that. So that's kind of the ugly end of the pro day spectrum, as opposed to the J.C. Horn story.
He went on a tangent too about how people don't know what he's going through and how he could be poor and homeless and not because people are telling him like, hey, why did you not go out to TCU and work out for their pro day? And he's like, well, how do you know I don't have the money to get out there and, you know, be able to spend 2 nights in a hotel and do all that? But isn't that what serious question, Patrick, isn't that exactly what agent, like if you sign with somebody, they kind of help you, even if it's, you know, $700-800 to get out to your pro day or whatever? Isn't that
I mean, that's what they're supposed to do, but when you're Shameik Blackshear and you have a grand total of like 30 career tackles or something like that, you're probably not getting hired by an agent who's going to waste any money on putting you up because they don't see you as draftable. So
I think it's, I mean, I hate it for him because, in his defense, it appears he really likes the University of South Carolina. There's a picture, even though he finished at TCU, there's a picture on his Twitter page of him in a Gamecock uniform, and he seems to have supported other players and be friends with them, which I guess you should do if you've built relationships over the course of your career. But the bottom line is this: we don't know all the details, and right now you're only seeing one guy's tweets about what he feels is right now, how he was wrong. So it's hard for me to back him on that situation.
It's weird. There's no exact rules on pro days. Like a lot of small school guys, like the kid from Wisconsin, Whitewater, the D3 player, the offensive lineman that stood out at Senior Bowl. Like he goes and does his pro day at Wisconsin Madison with all the Badgers. So I mean, I think Blackshear was probably thinking, I'm a graduate here. I'm local. They should just let me do it, which they're certainly allowed to if they want to, but they don't owe him anything because he played his last season at TCU. So
just hypothetically, Najee Harris, I guess, is from the Dallas area. Is that
no,
right?
he's from the Bay Area, California.
So is it?
Okay.
He was working out there in Dallas, I think.
Yeah, there's like an
Here,
access facility in Dallas.
Here's why I was going to just say that. Let's say
Darius Hutcherson, I think, that guy doing that as well.
Let's just say hypothetically, then Najee Harris is out there in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and he decides let's say he decides there's a lower level, like a D2 school that has a pro day. He wants to have a pro day for them like that to help his boys get a look by NFL scouts. He could do that, right?
Sure.
Like he could go work out. I mean, technically, you could go work out at any pro day around the country. Like,
they're not sanctioned by anyone or anything. It's just kind of the school saying, hey, you can use our facilities and our guys are going to work out and we're allowing people to come watch. It's not, I don't think there's any rules towards it at all.
To me, that's
it's like if you're a Trevor Lawrence or somebody, and maybe Trevor Lawrence is a bad example because he's going to be pick number 1. But let's say you're a middle of the round, first round guy, and you're going to draw a bunch of people to watch you work out.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd be like, man, I'm going to help my boys out, and they're playing in a smaller college. I want them to at least get a look in the NFL, have a look at some.
I think generally your boys would be your teammates from college.
I don't know. I mean, some guys you went to high school with.
Friends around, yeah.
But they're going to, because like you said, your teammates from college are going to get their own pro day at their school.
Yeah. Maybe
you want to take care of a couple friends who you think. I'm just interested. It's just the pro days are weird. Tim's kind of hinted at that. Like, the combine's weird. Yeah. The pro days are weird. How you judge it.
Well, I think weird might not be exactly what I'm saying. It's just you have such a massive difference from a guy. I mean, just yesterday from the Gamecock perspective, right? It's about 15 guys working out. You got J.C. Horn at the top there, and then you got some guys that haven't even played football last year that didn't have a very productive college career also there. So I've always felt when I've been there and I had the TV camera back in the day kind of covering this thing, it's such a kind of a mix of emotions because you got really, really good guys who have just poured in 20, I guess you start playing maybe when you're 8 or 10, at least 15 years of their life to football, right? somewhere in there, a dozen years at least. And this basically is the last time on a football field that means anything at all. And this is their last shot. And I think some of them kind of know it, and then still seeing them go through. And then you got guys like Melvin Ingram and Jadeveon Clowney who've been through and making millions of dollars. J.C. Horn just solidified 7 figures for sure, and maybe 8 coming up in the first round. So it's crazy to see the spectrum for me. It's always been so odd that way. And there's some other ones too. Wesley Saunders back in the day, having come back to USC after basically being kicked off the team his last year and trying to get a job and interviewing the whole. You got guys at so many different places going into this thing. It's always been tough to kind of balance that thought process or those perspectives from my point of view, though.
Yeah, and I just go back to what Patrick said in hour number 1 or 2, one of the hours we've done, just regarding like what helped J.C. Horn more yesterday, the 40 time or the news that Caleb Farley's having back surgery. Like so basically, I feel like, Patrick, if J.C. Horn doesn't work out at all yesterday, we have no content for today talking about what he did, that J.C. Horn still moves up in the draft likely a few spots because of the uncertainty of Caleb Farley and what he could do.
Yeah, but he probably won't be in the discussion for quarterback 1 at that point because Patrick Surtain did work out and worked out well. But now, I mean, there's a lot of other things that teams will take note of. Like I know that scouts love to see how guys interact with each other. So I know that there were a lot of GMs there just watching J.C. Horn after drills and watching other guys work out and just seeing how he interacts and making sure that he's like going to be a good influence on the locker room and all that stuff. And by all accounts, J.C. Horn's teammates love him, and they have a great rapport. So the pro days about more than just the times, because, I mean, the GMs could just read the times and say, oh, that Horn kid ran really fast. But there's a lot more that goes into it.
Well, all I get from
the
that
worst
is
GM ever. Right?
all I get from that is a bunch of GMs standing around going, birthday with J.C. Horn's birthday party. Oh, man.
Exactly.
None of his teammates win. Oh, well, that's it. Drop him several spots.
And again, I hear what you're saying about Virginia Tech and the Virginia Tech standout and Caleb Farley and a back injury scaring some teams off or dropping him down on board. But Tim Tebow is the best example to me. All it takes is one. I mean, all it takes is one team to think you're their guy. And so we don't really know in actuality what that injury does and if it helped J.C. Horn at all.
That's why I think whatever you read about teams taking him off their board, I think that's a joke. I bet you it's a team in the beginning, or maybe that drafts early, that thinks they have a chance of getting him in the second round now. Like the Jaguars somehow think that, if we'll just talk him down, we'll get teams to avoid him, and then bang, once we get to round 2, we'll just take him with pick number 33. And there's no way that teams have taken him off their board. Like back injuries scare teams for sure, but kid with first round ridiculous talent is not going to go undrafted now because of a little surgery.
Yeah, it's why I believe about 50%, maybe not even that much, of stuff that comes out this time of year when it comes to NFL prospects in the draft. Oh, yeah, I know.
We talked about Trubisky, and I know that the Bears kind of got duped because they traded up from number 3 to draft him at number 2 when he 100% would have been available at number 3. But San Francisco had them convinced, like, yeah, we might take a quarterback, or we're open for business. Other teams are going to trade with us, and they tricked the Bears into moving up one spot when they didn't have to do anything.
I feel like we should. I feel like Jen should have to wear the Bears hat that Clark Griswold wears in Christmas Vacation on the live stream one day. Just that's a classic Bears hat.
Is it like 3 different colors? Is that the deal on the mesh back?
No. That's actually I've seen some of those. Those actually no. It's just the one. I think it's just.
Look that one
see
up.
if I can. I think I've still got the screenshot off.
Well, we'll do that while we take our first break here in hour number 3. If you would like to join the show, 803-404-6100 is the number. You can call or text. If you're in on the live stream, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, up on Twitter as well, you might be seeing some of those comments go by about former Gamecocks and how they are being remembered. Gamecock baseball news to get to about the starting pitching rotation for the Florida series. We'll give you more details on that and talk more pro day stuff as it pertains to yesterday in the Gamecocks. I wanted to get to my biggest takeaway really comes from one picture that I think we're going to be seeing a lot moving forward from Gamecock football. That's next. It's the O the Game here on 107.5 The Game.
Oh, I don't think Wesley Saunders. Are we still talking about Wesley Saunders? I don't think Wesley Saunders scored a touchdown against Alabama in 2010. I think we're doing that thing where we're combining a bunch of games again here together. Actually,
Well, I know he didn't play in that SEC championship game because I got a shot of him in the stands at the Georgia Dome.
yeah, I was gonna say he didn't play in that 2010. He wasn't even on the team. He got kicked off.
That's the year he got kicked, booted.
Yeah. All right,
I
I
just pulled a
gotta.
bunch of papers out of my backpack, and I'm just trying to translate all of them, and I just can't do it. And I have my cheat sheet from signing day a couple years ago. It has the times of all these commitments. Henry Parrish, Lenneth Whitehead, Reggie Grimes, Desmond Tisdale.
That was last year.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully, I come up with a good caption for this.
We got the picture.
Yeah,
That's what I was
this is a really good one.
throwing it on the tweeter.
Yeah.
So we got Kerry Tharp coming up in the last segment, and we just got one more break. I'll try to get out 8:40 or earlier, 8:38, somewhere in there.
So, Bill, being the NASCAR expert, you're super excited about the dirt race.
Dirt race. Yeah, it's a big dirt race this weekend.
Yeah, it makes sense because we live in Arizona just because it's dry and heat and everything. This helps with the conditions for the dirt.
Hold on, I'm busy tweeting. I don't have time for your shenanigans.
Rude.
Shenanigans. Nose itchy.
I'm so happy with this one. You're all tagged in it. You're all properly tagged in it.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think I might have had that one actually. I may have had a Bulls one like that.
Oh, which one?
A Chicago Bulls hat like that, I think. A red one.
Good question. Are they selling gate tickets for baseball? Are there walk-up tickets?
Yeah,
Are there?
pretty sure. When's the last time you've been to Founders Park?
2 years ago?
Too long.
I've been to the ticket office 3 different times this year and seen people there.
Been 3 years for me. I've worked for the last 2 years for those games. So.
Sounds like you're listening to your lotion guy. Slippery Pete. Same guy who told you about the new Star Wars movie.
Mark, thank you for being authority there. First come, first serve.
Really? How about that? Oh, News is back on. Huge ship still stuck in Suez. I tell you what, you say that too fast, you've got a real issue with the FCC.
Especially
Huge
you.
ship still stuck in Suez. Really entertaining myself this morning.
So it's Thursday. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. All
I
right.
guess I got to do homework this weekend and listen to Chris Sims say why he doesn't have J.C. Horn in his top 5. It's going to annoy me.
Jesus. Why? I guess some people just realize they're going to send a text message and it's just and it's just not going to be read. They're just going to get their point across. If you put cuss words in your text message, it's not
What,
gonna happen.
it's not going to get read?
Yeah, the way that Bun just did it.
Yeah.
The
like-
new?
Your boy Bun. Didn't he come out and at Lawyer Lisa's that time? I think he did, right?
I actually missed that in his text. I just read the first word and last word. I was like, basically just ignored what he wrote.
Whoa. Mark, do you work for USC? That is a very official answer there.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. That's there you go. It's on the website. I don't know. I feel like we've got a lot of misinformation here on the tickets.
No? Where's the misinformation?
We said may be available, and then people are saying they are available.
Yeah, first come, first serve. If there are too many people that come before you, not available. Maybe
Put him
available.
back in.
Yeah, Mark, you didn't know we were on Fernandina in the dark.
Alright, guys.
I didn't realize these numbers from Brett Carey, Gamecock reliever so far this season, has started 4 games in his Carolina career and going into year number 3 here, and might end up starting the Sunday game this weekend against Florida because it's Thomas Farr and Brandon Jordan, the typical Friday and Saturday starters for Carolina, announced in the starting rotation by Mark Kingston yesterday, but he's going Sunday TBA, which means it could be Brett Carey as his guy. We'll just have to see. Carey coming off a tremendous outing against Vanderbilt on Sunday, and the numbers are silly. The only run he's given up was that home run that Clemson hit against him up in Greenville that came back and tied the game and forced extras, I think, or maybe the bottom of the inning. I forget which one it was. And the walk-off winner with Andrew Eister, when he hit a couple of back-to-back, it messes with my mind a little bit. But the numbers, 0.64 ERA in 14 innings this year. 28 strikeouts in 14 innings is ridiculous. Only bested by the 3 walks he's had this year. 28-3, the strikeout to walk ratio. That's fantastic. The tricky part about this is, obviously he's having a great year out of the bullpen. So do you change that up? You want to get your best pitchers out there for the most important outs, so you give your team the best chance to win. The question will be, how does the Gamecock coaching staff end up doing that this weekend? It's going to be wildly interesting to see when Brett Carey gets action. It will depend on the game situation, and Mark Kingston kind of talked about that yesterday, and it's why it's TBA right now. You got the Sunday starter that has been their guy this year, Julian Bosnick, as a lefty, and another option for the Gamecocks. How they choose to use them, and then how they come through in those situations, going to play a huge part into how South Carolina does in its second big SEC series of the year, the first home SEC series, and really third straight weekend series that really headlines college baseball, not just locally but nationally, coming off of Texas and at Vandy on the road here in the last couple of weekends. Now finally getting one back at home. Yeah, an important one, Bill. I know you said earlier you got to win the series and the whole thing. It would be a very important series win for sure, and kind of, I think, get fans more than players and coaches back on a positive way of thinking. I feel like the team's already there with what I'm hearing out of Gamecock baseball and just how they performed against the Citadel in the 8-3 win a couple of nights ago, coming off that come from behind win at Vandy on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. When I say you got to win the series, you can lose the series and still be in good shape because Florida's a top 5 team. But this is a big series, I think, and you guys, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, it's a big series, I think, in terms of can you host a regional. You need to put something on the resume. The Clemson's, the winning the two games against Clemson, you've obviously still got the third game on May 11th. But in terms of trying to host a regional, I think, which is the expectation for South Carolina baseball and where it looked like they were heading, and it's not inconceivable right now. It's still early in the season that you can fight for a super regional spot and get into the top 8. Obviously, you're going to play a schedule that gives you that opportunity. But if you want to talk about not just making the NCAA tournament, but hosting a regional at your ballpark, fighting for a position to maybe be a super regional host, it's a must-win series to win 2 of 3 here because it would look really, really good on the resume, and then that would make you 1, 2, 4, and I said 5 and 4. I said 5 and 4 would be really good after the Texas, Vanderbilt, Florida series. If you could go 5 and 4 in those 9 games, that'd be really good. Well, if you'd be 4 and 5, it's not what you want to be, but I also don't think it's something that you'd be disappointed in.
Bill, it would be 3 and 6 by the math. You got swept at Texas.
I'm sorry. They swept at Texas. Yeah, they're not sitting there with 2 wins. Good point. Well, man, they could sweep the series and go 4 and 5.
They could. That would be massive, obviously. But what you're saying there, from a big picture standpoint, doesn't quite make sense to me because you still got 3 more series left this year against teams that are in the top 5.
What are those?
1 through 5 is all
Mississippi State and
Arkansas. Yeah.
So remind me real quick. You're looking at it. Where are those series at?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now because I'm looking at all the LSU. You're playing at Baton Rouge. Arkansas, you'll be at home. Ole Miss, you'll be at Oxford, and Mississippi State will be at home.
Okay, so 2 of the 3 are at home, and that's good. That's Arkansas and Mississippi State. You're right. So that takes a little. I didn't have that schedule right in front of me in terms of the home and away series, but look, it's the SEC. It's you're going to play. I mean, what is it? Is it? I think it's D1 baseball right now. The top 5 teams in the country are all SEC teams. Yeah. You know what you're getting, but still, it's a big series, and it's early in the year. You won the game at Vanderbilt. You won the game convincingly on Tuesday night, where you looked pretty good. I think if you can carry that momentum forward, it would really be. You're right. You lose the series this weekend. It's not the end of the world. You don't shut it down and start talking about next season. But to me, this is a really big one, a big opportunity.
To me, where we're at with Gamecock baseball, I think especially from an outsider perspective, is do you believe that this program is back to what you were talking about, Bill, at a level where it expects to host a regional and be in play there in those top 8 seeds to host a super regional? Basically, is this program what Dawn Staley has turned the women's basketball program into? And I know that for longtime Gamecock baseball fans, you might just be going, this program has a lot more history and the whole thing. And it does. And it has 2 national championships instead of the 1 and played for the 3rd in a row. I get that. But 7 straight Sweet 16s now for Dawn Staley and company as they'll tip off against Georgia Tech on Sunday. Massively impressive. And that is the expectation for Gamecock baseball and always has been, to be there to host a regional, which means you're one of the top 16 teams in the country, and then to be in the conversation and to get there pretty frequently hosting a super regional, which wildly increases your odds to go to the College World Series. That's what it looked like this team was when they were off to an 11-0 start. That was what this team absolutely was not in their next 6 games, losing all of them. And then that Sunday game against Vanderbilt, I think, might have brought you back to that conclusion that, hey, wait a second, maybe this team is that. And not you at all, Bill? You're shaking your head?
No, this program's still trying to find its footing to be one of the, what I would say is the top 16 teams in the country, and that's hosting a regional. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've really seen that. And And that's, we obviously saw Mark Kingston's first year get within a game of the College World Series. It was a great run, but also remember it was a run that happened late in the season. They got off to a pretty poor start. And then the following year, they got off to a great start and then finished very poorly. So, no, this program, whether you want to use past history with Gamecock baseball or whether you want to use what Dawn Staley's built with 7 consecutive Sweet 16s, no, this program's still trying to get back into right now what I would say is being one of the top 16 teams in the country. That's where you're hosting a regional. And from there, to me, Tim, when you ask that question, I shake my head. They're not close to being a program that's in the discussion to host a super regional. Now, you can do that if you win a game like this weekend, but the program's not there. I see you dropping your head. You're so disappointed. Because what you said is they're not there.
Because if Carolina sweeps Florida this weekend on Monday, you'll come and say, yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
Which you have to go on. I have to go on.
I can ride the emotional roller coaster that is South Carolina athletics.
Right. Instead of me choosing to go into the emotions, I go on facts.
We've seen me do that. South Carolina beat Auburn in football, and I thought the whole thing had turned around, and then 4 months later it was a new football coach.
If a sports talk radio host can't be a prisoner of the moment every morning for 3 hours, who can? Who can?
Unbelievable.
Man,
but the fact is,
if they sweep, we're all over here celebrating Monday morning.
Fact is, South Carolina has the nation's leader in home runs right now. Fact is, the South Carolina coaching staff leads in strikeouts per 9 innings. The pitching staff. The pitching staff right now leads in strikeouts per 9 innings. Those are facts. The fact is that in that Vanderbilt series that people were freaking out about, South Carolina, as pitchers, they had one less strikeout than that ridiculous Vandy pitching staff. Those are facts, and that's what I'm going off of to say that it's right there. Now you get swept at home by Florida, and you start 1-5 in conference play like that 2010 team did, I believe, 2012 team, sorry. The odds of them coming back and going back to the College World Series, not very good. I get that, and I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, looking at the lineup 1 through 9, looking at the pitching staff this year, those numbers from Brett Carey, those are all big-time powerhouse numbers. And going on a 6-game losing streak doesn't equate to that for sure. I think it's closer than what you're telling us there. At least you're admitting that if the one-run games go Carolina's way, on Monday you'll be like, yeah, completely convinced they're right back.
Based on the facts you just gave about Wes Clark and Brett Carey and the pitching staff and the coaching staff, I think you're with me. If they sweep, you're coming in on Monday waving the banner that we're all making a trip to Omaha. I think you're with me.
How fast can Skylar Meade throw right now, you think?
Oh, he check his Twitter out. He shows the batting practice numbers. I believe it's high 80s, maybe in the 90s. It's crazy.
Young guy. He's athletic. He's a young guy. I've seen him.
I would love to take an at-bat against him.
Really?
See how dumb I look.
Oh, you would not really. That is just showing your naivete, sir. You would love to take an at-bat against him.
What do you think is best?
First of all, you're complaining about being sore sitting, I think, aren't you?
Sure.
You're complaining about your chair, man.
Wait, I said I would think it'd be funny to see how dumb I would look. Taking that bet against him.
You're a lefty, though, right?
I've never seen a pitch come at me that fast. I haven't actually probably swung a baseball bat since. Actually, we did. What did we do? We took swings at.
This is some batting practice. It was
Combine that we've
different.
already referenced multiple times today, right?
No,
That was off a tee.
I was thinking when we went out to the alumni game, the celebrity game, a couple years ago.
Yeah, Patrick didn't take any cuts there. He wasn't allowed.
I've never
allow him on the
I've
field.
actually in my life never swung a baseball bat at someone who was trying to strike me out.
That is a sad
Never once.
statement, sir.
You never played Little League baseball?
Coach
I
pitch
played
as
coach
far as he
pitch
went.
where they were trying to just put it on a platter for me.
Well,
but
Tim
I've never
trying to strike out his kids.
had
How many
someone try to
strikeouts
get
you
me
have
out,
that
ever.
Tim? 5?
Oh, my swing and miss stuff was good yesterday. The other night, it was there. Some of the kids complain about the breaking balls, but they got to get used to them at some point.
You learn early.
803-404-6100 if you want to help us learn. Fortunately, we've got a guest coming up on the Love Chevy phone lines that will drop some knowledge, give us more knowledge on the show, which is what we're always seeking. Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp going to join us next. We got NASCAR picks coming up. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
It's a new year. They're hungry. They're driven.
All right, I'm getting rid of these guys. See you. got a little bit of that. Looking it up here. All right. Almost prepared. New can be good for sure. Maybe Buford Lending is new in your thought process about thinking about refinancing your current mortgage or looking into a new mortgage in a new home. Buford Lending, Benji Getzi is the guy who's been running it. They're not new. They've been around for 25 years. Their experience is really what sets them apart. And Benji is just asking for you to put Buford Lending on your list if you're looking into refinancing or a new mortgage. Give them a call at 843-524-2404. Benji actually encourages you to keep calling or keep the relationship that you might have with your current lender. Check them out as well. He encourages that because he knows he can give you the best deal. He is a mortgage broker, not attached to a bank, and that sets him apart from when you're looking into refinance or close your loan in record time. He knows he can do it. He's done it for 25 years, and he's got dozens and dozens of satisfied customers on Google. Just check out Buford Lending, LLC. Record rates, greatest refi boom in history, incredible opportunities for buying, refinancing, home improvements, even that vacation rental home or vacation home or rental property. Shop that rate today and give Benji Getzi and Buford Lending a call. 843-524-2404. Push that button, push that button. Boop. There we go.
Quality.com. Still a bit of a tie-up, still 102 Drive, Road. Also, earlier accident in the Cleveland Stages I-20 eastbound at Pond Road. Have a report of an accident.
With a fist pump, Anthony. With the fist pump celebration after.
Continue working at Manual
Talking a little jump.
Caesars Road. The wind's coming in and interesting weather.
Because an 8-year-old is about the highest age that would.
I think what was it, the Louisville pitcher? That's what Tim acted like after his third straight strikeout.
Was that Luke Smith we saw the other day, the slow-mo replay where you can read the lips?
Yeah. Man, I don't know how to pick this NASCAR race.
Patrick, you're on mute, by the way, on the live stream.
I would want to take a pitch from Skylar because I would want to know if I would flinch. Like, I don't know if I would be able to stand in there.
Well, what does this even mean? Trey, giving you the lacrosse analogy, huh? What does that mean? Translate.
I mean, it's just, I don't know what the charged part means, but a midi stick is just every other stick that's not this. It's just it's a 3-foot pole. But it's not, because lacrosse shots come faster than baseball pitches.
What's the MLB? What's the mile per hour there?
The record for the fastest shot competition was, I think it's 118.
Wow.
In game, it's not coming that hot because you're padded up and you don't really get to step into it like that. But guys are better shooters are hitting 100 in game still.
That's why when Trent would come home, from practice or something like that as a goalie, and the welts that he would have were just amazing.
It's hard to just learn how to actually take a shot as a goalie because your instinct when someone's winding up from 6 feet away is to flinch and get out of the way, but you actually have to step into the shot, and it's
and that's what he would
quite
do.
intimidating.
He was a catcher in baseball, so I think that helped as far as
That definitely helped.
taking
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a big guy, so.
Yeah, because the goalies literally they have to have it out front of them and step into the shot, and it's not something I could ever do.
Whoa! Come on, man. Don't be giving away my picks.
Was that Jan you're talking about?
Yeah. Now Jen will take my pick. You guys, I'm good at this. good. Every year, right there, winner. NASCAR pick 'em. Killing me.
Sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
Says Joe. I will never get a stand-up desk in my life.
No, I already know who I'm going to get, Robert. I'm the NASCAR guru, man. I already know who I'm going to get. And I can go ahead and tell you it's not going to be Hamlin or Elliott or Harvick. I got to have a second pick, though.
Yeah, Trey, I agree. Questionable is a good word for lacrosse goalies. What is like I don't know what to compare that to.
Really?
Where it's just like you have to be like insane and maybe a little dumb to play goalie because
how padded up are you for a lacrosse goalie compared to a hockey goalie?
They're not. They wear a helmet and a neck protector and a chest protector. They have nothing on their arms and nothing on their lower half.
Really?
All that's protected is their chest and neck.
So you take one to the shins, you're going to feel it.
Certain times.
I mean, even if you take one into your chest protector, it still hurts.
Thank you.
Feeling it?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I've ever like held or seen a lacrosse ball. Is it like what is it? Like a hard rubber?
Rubber and thick and hard. And
It's rubber? Like a hard rubber?
It's like a rubber pool ball.
Really?
it hurts so bad to get hit.
The consistency of a hockey puck?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, a little, not quite that hard.
It's heavy though.
Right.
Wager Wednesday for both. There's honestly no chance you would be able to take a shot in lacrosse without jumping out of the way.
All right, heading in.
Cool Care Heating and Air text line, Robert Bristol, baby. I'll be there all weekend, he says. And by the way, Bill, Jen has a secret weapon for this race with some background knowledge. Is that really a secret weapon? Background knowledge?
Coming out of the woodwork now to help Jen. I mean, just
Is it because they
once again trying to hold a good gunner down.
Because you're not so annoying.
hold you down in the dirt in Bristol? Anyway, what?
Yeah, Robert does say some drivers are just not dirt racers, and it showed recently. So we'll explain what that means. But fortunately, we have an expert on the show to help us out here with Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp joining us as usual here in our final segment on a Thursday. Kerry, how are you, sir?
They are. True.
I see what you did there, talking about dirt at Bristol. Tell me about this going down, and then how it affects, I guess, the thought process here in the pick segment.
Well, I tell you got to hand it to NASCAR and Speedway Motorsports, particular for coming up with this concept. I think it's been since 1970 since the Cup cars raced on dirt. So they brought in, I don't remember there over Bristol, probably over the last 6 to 7 weeks, and they kind of followed the process on social media. It's been quite interesting. And that place has become a dirt track. So maybe it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be unknown on what's going to happen. And, there's 7 or 8, probably more drivers that are really, really good at dirt racing. And then there's a few probably that haven't done it that much. So, but they're doing it with a different car. This stock car that they're going to be doing it in on Sunday is much different than the sprint cars that they typically do. So I think it's going to be wide open. You ask me what it does to the pitch.
So interesting when it comes to those 7 or 8 maybe favored guys that have the history. Jen, that's who you're thinking you will go with in the picks segment here. How do you think that'll translate with doing it in a different car?
Well, and then there's different parts of it as far as like they're not going to have competition, pit stops and all of that. You know, there's going to be different heats and things like that as far as to set up the field, if I'm not correct, and because it's not safe, you know, for the pit crews from what I was reading, all of that. So I think it's going to be interesting where how they do some of their strategies. So I think that's going to be kind of fun as well to watch.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Bill, stuff that you, of course, you're kind of bored having already known all this, right? Is that where you're at right now? That's where I see
Well,
it.
I mean, there's a lot of like they said, it's an entirely different race. Like it's not going to be live pits. When you go into the pits, you come out where you went in. I mean, you got to factor into these things, Carrie and Jen. You got to be thinking along the lines. Obviously, there's going to be the Saturday heats to determine the positioning. I mean, they have big things here this weekend that if you're not paying attention, man, you're really going to show your lack of knowledge here in the NASCAR field. I hope you guys have been paying close attention.
So I'm assuming that, you know, when they're going around and things like that, you know, they're feathering the throttle and stuff like that.
Well, you got to really, Jim. What you've got to be looking at here. This is key. Is the sand, the dirt, and one of the drivers, one of the guys I like, says it's a fluffy kind of dirt that can get up in there and really affect the car. So you got to be really paying attention to the dirt. Also, weather could be questionable all weekend. There's some chances of rain there Sunday. Kerry was kind of talking about it. That's why he alluded to NASCAR getting dirty this weekend. I think there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there's always a lot when you break it down. Unfortunately, somehow Bill continues to lead our pick segment here. He's got 19 points the way we do it. I know we got four contestants, so the best pick of the week gets 4 points unless that pick is the winner, and then you get 10 big points. Nobody has won in a while now. Last year, I feel like you guys were on this nearly every single week. This year, just the way things have gone, it has been more unpredictable. Last week, Bill got the most points with the 4th place finish of Denny Hamlin. Martin Truex Jr., our next best pick in our pick contest by Reggie Anderson over there at WLTX News 19. He is now tied with you, Kerry, for 2nd place in our picks contest. You guys are 4 behind Bill, and somehow Jen is 4 more behind you guys in a distant 4th place at this point. But maybe with a big pick, Jen.
Not really when you look at the previous 2 years. It's not all that
Are you still
different.
talking?
I know. All right, Kerry, you are our guest. Let's let you have first pick here. Who are you going with at Bristol on the dirt this weekend? That got a smile and a nod from Jen. She likes that pick. Is that because you didn't want to pick him, Jen, or you actually think he's going to do well and at least Bill won't win?
I think he'll do well, and Robert was kind of tweeting last night that saying, you know, need to look at him because things were so realistic in the iRacing and whatever. But I think I'm going to go to somebody who wasn't able to race last year or part of the season, but did a lot of dirt racing last year, and that's Kyle Larson.
Yeah, that's the pick. That's the easy. That's the easy pick. I mean, that really is. That's the pick, but it's not going to be the winner. It's not going to be the winner. You got to go with a guy who's done a lot of dirt racing in his history. He had a bad wreck. I think back last year, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. Give me Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell is going to get the job done this weekend. Yep, and that's the guy. I did like Kyle Larson. Yeah, Kyle Larson is a good pick, but
pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Bell is going to. Well, then you got to study. You got to study a little bit. Again, you got to know the sand, the tires.
Which website? Which website were you studying, Bill? Wikipedia. Nice.
Right.
Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp, thanks for putting up with our nonsense as usual. Good to have you. At Kerry_Tharp, where you can follow him on Twitter. Kerry, have a good weekend. I'm pulling for your pick there to win and get back in front.
30.
You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Kerry.
The iRacing, how about that? Didn't know he was all into that. That's basically e-gaming, right? I mean, you're just doing the video games? Crazy.
Yeah, it's real.
That's where we are. This was some kind of show. Bill, are you proud of yourself?
I feel good. I'm going to take the rest of the day off.
Patrick, good
21-hour
luck
break.
soliciting more stuff on the Cash App. See you tomorrow. go back and do a highlights of that segment for Patrick, and it's meh. At the end.
That was it. Man.
You're done tomorrow?
Yep.
No tomorrow for you?
No tomorrow for me.
Good for you. So,
Big weekend planned, or you just getting some rest?
Big weekend planned.
Oh,
the boys in town, watch out, Columbia.
Oh,
Bunch of
that's
them.
right.
Bunch of them.
And parents and fathers, right?
And some dads.
Woo!
oh boy.
What a combo. All right, well, enjoy it, sir.
Thank you. One more night tonight.
Yeah, good luck with that. Everybody on the live stream, appreciate all the participation. It was a good day today. Good day. You guys are all over it. I like how you guys have your own conversations on the live chat. You know it doesn't have to necessarily have anything to do. We can cherry pick it for the show.
That's right.
You guys,
Building friendships on the live stream.
yes, creating your own deal. And in case you've never seen Cheerios, now you know with Bill's helpful visual this morning.
Delicious
Who knew?
and heart healthy.
Underdog story.
Trip
Cheerios.
meals not included.
Did I say shrimp bill's not included? Mhm.
There you go.